You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. It has been a week, and we are finally here. We are, less than 24 hours away from the Philadelphia Democratic primary election. Tuesday, okay, primary day, which is really Super Tuesday in Philadelphia because really by it's the main one. I'm ready. This is the no guts, no glory episode. Okay, this is it. We're in the trenches. Okay, it is sink or swim. It is ride or die. It is time. I know all of my Ernest stands that are listening or voting who are in Philadelphia, and if you are not in Philadelphia, you're hoping that Philadelphia can get its act together. Okay, there's been some major L's being taken left and right. I mean, Phillies are out. The playouts off say this, they had a moment and they don't have a moment, because God don't like ugly. Y'all should have been trying to have that arena. Okay. So, but it was a cute little run, but of course they jacked it up. I mean, they lost on Thursday. They lost on Sunday. The Celtics just took it all. Philly had a moment, and I knew when they lost in Philly on Thursday, I knew that home spirit that was happening with the Celtics in Boston was going to be everything, everywhere, all at once. And Boston took advantage, and Boston did what they had to do. And, Boston need a win after that L they had over there with that coach, the one who cheated on my girl Nia Long, So they had their, they need a little moment, you know what I'm saying? So they did what they had to do. But, we move on, I mean, I can't, harp on a game, especially by a team that's trying to put a stadium, in Chinatown. So, it is what it is. Maybe next season, who knows? Hopefully they will take advantage of Wells Fargo Center, which has way better, options and doesn't, implode upon another, community's culture and livelihood and the environment. So, maybe this was karma, maybe this was an opportunity to bring people to the table and hope that people are better. Like a wake up call to say, hey, maybe the arena that you all currently have is a good arena. Maybe that arena will be good and it will have people, involved or something. There's an opportunity there. That's my take on it. Maybe it will help people get to that place. To rethink all of the things they've been doing. So, maybe. But, it is what it is. So, so much updates. I want to get to the show. So the news came out earlier over the weekend. Actually, I am going to be the new host of Philadelphia City Council Live on WRD Radio. I am super thrilled. I'm super excited. I've been sitting on this for a little bit because, how it goes. You got to get all the stuff cleared and all that. But it's happening. I am the new permanent host. So every Thursday, starting on May 25th at 10 a.m. on WQRD, which is 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WRDradio.com is the website. Or you can check us out on the Word app or Word TV via Facebook, which is also there. We're on Twitter, of course. We're on Twitch. We're on all the social media. So we're on Instagram at OnWord. Our number that you can call the show is 215-425-7875 if you want to call in on the show during the segments. But this is a very big deal. WRD has been around for 20 years. They're celebrating a 20th year this year. And to be a millennial, to be gay, to be, progressively black for a progressive black radio show, like WRD Radio is a big damn deal, and I'm really happy about it. And yeah, Philadelphia City Council is an institution. It's been around for years. This is a very legendary show that's been around for a long time. And basically, the connection of the show is that the city of Philadelphia, does public access media. So they run it, city council sessions, which happens every Thursday. Mostly in the fall. In the summer, there'll be, there's a summer run up to the budget, but it's the entire city council, season. So the show runs every Thursday. City council begins around 10 a.m. Sometimes it can go to 1 p.m. or longer, but oftentimes it stays within the 10 to 11 range. Sometimes it gets a little longer, but I will be on the show starting on Thursday, May 25th. This upcoming Thursday, they will not be in session. I think it's going to be a break since the election is taking place, so people want to recuperate. But when we get back, a new host and a new city council will be on the horizon. So it's a really big deal. And, as you all know, a couple of weeks ago, I was, filling in for the previous host, which was Charles Ellison. He's going to still be with WRD Radio doing other programming, but I will now be doing City Council Live, which is awesome because, you all know my broadcast abilities. I mean, for over 2 years, I've been doing this lovely show, my own show. Still going to be doing my own show, FYI. Just want to put that out there. I'll be doing my own show. But it is just great to be able to be on this side of media, producing on this way. Now, of course, I'm still at Philadelphia Magazine. I'm still writing for all the various publications I write for. Nothing changes. We're just adding, to the pie. But this is something that was something I've always wanted to do for a long time. I was a city council fellow in 2013, 10 years ago, and was working under a woman named Jane Rowe, who was the communications director at City Council, specifically under Darrell Clark. So I knew Council President Darrell Clark at the time and, was with her along the way. And now she's the spokesperson for DA Larry Krasner. Small world. Did you all know that fun fact? So yes, Jane Rowe was basically I was her apprentice in many ways. I was under her as a communications fellow and learned a lot about media and communication in the city in the professional direct way. She was the first person in that particular space that I worked with, and I actually learned a lot about city council through her, and I learned a lot about city council through a lot of the elected officials who were there. So it's very refreshing to be on this side of it all. Doing a couple of the guest fill-ins for WRD. Shout out to Sarah Lomax Reese, who's the president and CEO, Ashanti Martin, who is the general manager, and Jamira Perry, who is the news director. All three of those incredible Black women who I've known and have built personal relationships with over the years and more recently. And it just feels so good to be in this position and to be able to bring a different viewpoint to how that show can work. I mean, it's a great show, and my predecessors had their own style. Before me, it was Charles Ellison. Before Charles Ellison, it was Vincent Thompson and others. And so it's interesting what everyone brings to it. But I think for me, I want to spend a great deal of time connecting the policy to what's happening in the Philadelphia political scene overall. Because so often, when you listen to city council, if you go to a city council session, right, there's a lot of bills getting passed, a lot of things being proposed. And we oftentimes don't know what those policies are out loud. They don't really go into the details about them as much. There's not, there is sometimes debate and discussion, but a lot of times stuff is just moving and people are speaking and making dedications and it seems cute. But what I want to do with the show is that, while they're doing their thing, in session, I want to have those opportunities before session begins and when session ends to talk to these elected officials up front and say, hey, this bill that you're doing, let's talk about the impact of that bill. Let's talk about, the other implications of their ability to run. One of the fun things I had enjoyed covering it this time around was that some of these candidates were running for re-election and some of them were not. And so it was interesting to talk to them about, the policies they were trying to push before they left, and some of the people who were really more political than ever because they were run for reelection. And I noticed that there's a pattern, right? And this is my observation, that you start to see more street dedications and more of those flashier types of, proclamations and street signings and renamings, all this kind of stuff when it is an election year. I mean, no shade. I have gotten a resolution, like my name on 2 resolutions, and I got a citation. With a citation, that was well earned by me. But I got my name on like 2 resolutions this year, from 2 different elected officials. And I was thinking to myself, like, that's nice, and it's about damn time, and I'm flattered. But then part of me was like, well, it is election year, so people, they don't want you on their ass, or they think they don't want you on their ass. But listen, I'm an equal opportunity person. You can give me roses and say you're a great journalist. I'm gonna say thank you, I know, but I'm still gonna cover you. Like, hello. But that's just, the nature of it. So I'm excited because listeners are gonna know that I am an unbossed, unbothered, journalist. I'm going to ask everyone questions. I'm going to talk to all of them. I'm going to, keep it fair, keep it right, keep it tight, and keep it factual. And that's really how I get down when I come to my journalism. It's, even if you don't like something personally, that doesn't mean that you don't call the facts. And so you'll see a lot of that in my work with WRD through this show. And also I'll be making other appearances on WRD programming. On Tuesday from 10 to 1, I'll be live with the Buildings Trade General, business manager, Ryan Boyer at the Buildings Trade. He's the big head honcho over there. We'll be there. We'll be talking. Black Leadership PAC is sponsoring a candidates Politico gathering, which will be live with WRD Radio, and I will be co-hosting that show. Every election Tuesday, Ryan Boyer and ourselves are on WRD. So this has been a long time coming. The relationship with WRD and I is nothing new. And a lot of you all know that I've been on segments, guest segments, all types of things throughout the years. And so to be in this position now, to be able to host this show, is just so surreal. And to be paid, because let me be clear, I don't do anything for free. I'm getting paid. So it's just nice to secure another bag, a broadcasting bag, because I do a lot of print media, writing, and digital. So now we got a little bit of broadcast. We're doing the radio, and so I'm really excited about it. I can't wait. I cannot wait. And it's gonna be fun. I mean, Mr. Johnson is a communications director for a city council member, so it's gonna be interesting to be on the other side with when your spouse is, he's. We're going to be cute. Like, what's that? What's like, not Fitz and Olivia Pope, because Fitz was married and she wasn't. He was married to somebody else, let's be clear. Well, it's going to be that little cute little office dynamic, I suppose, where you see somebody, you're just like, hi, how you doing? Hi. But he's very like, he's chill. He's not one of those like, how some people date people, and they're in the same, I don't know, like if it's a singer being married to an actress or somebody in Hollywood, and like they see each other and they're working, it's like that thing where you're like, oh, how do I act in that dynamic? It's just like, hello, how you doing? But he's working with a city councilwoman who isn't really in any drama or any mess, so it's an easier pillow talk. But he's the communications director for Catherine Gilmore Richardson, so. It is, it's just, listen. It's easy when it's someone like her, right? If it was like that council president, I don't know. That'd be a different kind of, that's a lot of power. That's a lot of, but people always ask, like, how does that work when you're with someone in the same type of field on the other end? Well, at the end of the day, look, you do your job, they do their job. If it ever feels like it's hitting that point, but it never has, and we've never let it in any situation. Like it typically is very standard. Like I don't really get into the mix of what's going on in that office because that's not, but really what it is, that the fun part is that you can keep those boundaries. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people who are journalists are in different types of situations. Like they're married to somebody who is the CEO or something, or sometimes you could be a city council person and you can be married to somebody who is representing a pharmaceutical company where it can change the bill. Well, listen, everybody has their experiences, and so you realize that at the end of the day, you just have to be able to prove and to demonstrate that for what you're specifically covering and doing is not that conflict, and vice versa. And so we've been able to maintain in that for many years, and so I think that's the most important part. And I will say this: we've been married for nearly 2 years, but we've been together for nearly 10. Not one time in our entire relationship has he ever asked me to consider or be nice, or never has. Never has. And I've never told him to either. I mean, I like, look, you do your job, I'm gonna do my job. May the best man win, partner. Not that it's competition, but whoever, if you're representing somebody, like in the very beginning of his years, he was doing communications work in Harrisburg for the Black Caucus, like the Black Caucus at the time. But the interesting thing was that I wasn't really deep in covering Harrisburg at that time. I cover Harrisburg a little bit more now, but I wasn't covering them then. So it's always like an alternate role of like, who. But he was representing like pretty much all of the Black legislative people, doing like the communication stuff for all of those individuals. So it was that would have been, like if that would have been his case now, that would have been interesting because of like all of them. Now he's working with one particular person, but it's not like the entire branch. So that doesn't impede upon the work that I do and how I do it to that extent. So it's easier to do it that way. But I mean, to be honest, I think what it really boils down to is being able to show people what's going on, you know? Um, and I think that's the most important part, um, which is big, you know what I'm saying? And, um, that's the part that matters, is that you just have to think about all of the angles of it. And you have to also be just, transparent to people, and just also people got to recognize that you're going to be real. I think people recognize that I'm an unbothered voice. So it's important to maintain, your peace. And when you're an unbothered voice, people can get in their feelings about it. There's a lot of people during this election cycle that felt some type of way about some of the people that I endorsed and who I backed, and, conversations about who's Black and who's this. But, I'll get more to that later in the conversation and for sure the show. But there is a lot of that kind of heat that goes around, and it is what it is, you know? But no, I'm super excited about this show. Can't wait for y'all to tune in. Be a member of WRD. Go on their website, support them, support Black local, Black Talk Media, support that. Because let me tell you this, WRD is the only Black-owned talk radio station in Pennsylvania, in the entire Commonwealth. They're the only Black-owned radio station fully operating. And there are only a few across the country. And that is in many states don't have them. Pennsylvania only has one, and it's right here in Philadelphia, and it's WRD Radio. And there's only a few across the country. So when I tell you that you might live in a state that do not have a Black-owned radio station that, produces Black talk shows and content, like there are Black media deserts in this country. And so this is special, and it's intentional. And I tell people everything I do is intentional. This weekend, it was my second year going to, commencement as the youngest professor at Cheyney University currently, and still holding that title. But I was at Cheyney commencement. I was there. I was in my cap and gown, my regalia. And it was just another reminder of like how important it is to be consistently in community. So many people are thinking that the only way to be successful is to, aspire to whiteness or proximity to whiteness. And the truth of the matter is that what I want to be and what I want to continue to be is a possibility model for Black people that are trying to navigate what it means to be successful, and be successful by being true to yourself and being connected and real and useful to your community, right? That you don't have to pick or choose, or you don't have to compromise. And I got some thoughts about that later on, but that's just something that is something that stuck with me, specifically over the past weekend. Just when I'm talking about the reunion I went to, the alumni weekend I went to for Penn, this experience I had with Cheney this week at the commencement, which was fabulous. We were in the rain, but it didn't rain that heavy, but it was still dope. A lot of things, but like Mother's Day has been fabulous. This weekend, my mother went out to Vegas with her homegirls, and they just had a girls' trip to Vegas, and they went out and they were in the hotels and being all fabulous. And I was like, so my younger brother, rode first class for the first time. Child, he was living his life. Okay, he went from Philly to Houston. And it was funny because he was so responsible. He was like, "Oh yeah, I was first class was nice. I slept." I'm like, "Did you drink anything?" He's 20. He's like, "No, I didn't. I didn't even know I could drink. I didn't know it was an open bar. I didn't know what that was. I just, I had a charcuterie board and I went to sleep." I was like, "That's it. That's what you did on first." I mean, I get it. He's 20, but I'm like, but he loved it though. He said he got to sleep well. The seats it was the most comfortable he has ever had, experience he ever had. I was like, all right. Like I'm thinking in my head, if I was on first class, I would have had charcuterie board. I would have definitely been rounds and rounds, especially on a flight that long. And it's definitely like it was a nonstop. But he was happy. He was pleased. I got my points. I'm really crazy about my points. American Airlines. Okay. If y'all have points on American Airlines that y'all not using, y'all want to give them to me, call me. I have over 500,000 miles that I've been collecting. These, I call them points, but they're miles. Over 500,000 miles. I have not used the miles because I just want to accumulate them. My goal is I want to get to 1 million miles. And then maybe I'll figure out what I'm going to do with those million miles. But right now I've just been accumulating them. A lot of it has come from the tour. Um, the tour, I got these brand new credit cards that are connected to this, and also I've been long overdue for a real serious credit card. Like I've had the same credit card for over 10 years, and I was very anti credit card, but I realized what the benefits are of credit cards. Not that I'm like getting tons of them and doing all that maxing out stuff, but like I, for the longest, was a cash man, a debit card man, anti credit cards, hate them. But what I realized that was good for them was that one, it's nice to have perks and benefits. I wanted a card that made sense for me specifically. I didn't just want to get a credit card just because, but I want to actually get it from things. So I have two new credit cards that are like connected to American Airlines that give me like tons of points, that give me miles based on what I use for restaurants and things. And they're flexible and everything. And it was just perfect. It was perfect. And so that gave me, because I got those two cards, I got over 100,000 miles added on to what I had. And so that took me up a level. And now I'm just been accumulating them all the time. So one of the things I've been doing lately is that I'll go out to like things with some of my friends. And I'm like, look, if it's a big group of us, I'll put on my car and they just Venmo me in Cash App or whatever, because I want my points. So that's what I've been doing lately. But nonetheless, any expense I use for any American Airlines flights on the card gives me like 3 times the amount of points and things. So I've been into it. Listen, it's been cool. It's been rewarding. It's been dope. I paid off my other credit card, but I didn't cancel the credit card. So pro tip for those who don't know this, you want to keep credit, because that's been my longest line of credit. And the credit card minimum was like, I think 1,000 when I got that card years ago. It was like years. This is like a long ass. I think the card is like 12 years old. I think I got it. No, it is 10 years. Like right before, it was like my senior year, I got a credit card for the first time in my life. It was like in my senior year. My mom was like, you need to increase your credit. You need to get something. You can't do that if you don't have a credit card. I'm like, really? I didn't know anything about credit. Now I know all about it. First of all, let me just say this. We should abolish the credit system. I think it's inherently racist. I think that it is what is keeping Black people disenfranchised from getting access to property and to houses, to getting apartments and things. Credit scores are just racist and fucked up, because it's like you don't know how to, people don't know how to build. And then you hear stories. I've heard stories that happen to my other friends that are, that their parents put stuff in their name when they were younger, and like that shit hurt them because there was like, tables and cars and shit in their name, and it was terrible. And nobody wants to get their parents locked up for that shit, so they never like say anything. But they was jacking their kids' credit up before their kids even had a fighting chance. Don't even get me started on it. Never happened to me personally. Didn't happen to my family. Clearly My mom wasn't like that. But there are people whose parents that I know did that to them, and that's why their relationships are like fucked up with their parents. Because it's like, damn, mom, you put me as a co-signer on some shit, and you never paid that bill. Now you got my shit fucked up. It's wild. But my thing was, I fortunately, I mean, a lot of things I didn't, pay. I didn't have student debt. I didn't have a lot of other expenses. So the issue with me was I just need to build credit. So I got a credit card, paid all my stuff. I mean, the limit was so low that, I mean, I used to just use it for like groceries and stuff. I couldn't really do like a trip. Now I could do a couple little things, but I'm not trying to be reckless with it. I'm like, pacing it out and things. So it's cute. Like one of the cards, I'm like, okay, this is only for travel and airlines and purchases for that, so that I can be able to maximize my points. The other one, I'm like, okay, nice dinners, nice outings out, and then like I pay that bill every month and all that jazz. And so I'm like using it for food and like nice things that will give me double points or whatever. So that's my juggle. Like one card is for like really great restaurants and stuff, because I get 3 times the points or something on restaurants and gas. And I don't drive, but my husband do. So like we use the car for gas and things like that. So if y'all got a tank y'all need to fill up or something, hit me up. I'll fill up your tank because I get more points for that. But general expenses, I use my regular debit card. I'm not playing with the credit card for like, oh, I need to get some ice cream. Well, no, that's a food cost, so I would probably use it for the food. But like if I wanted to buy some clothes from American Eagle or something, I will not use the credit card for that. I would use that. I would use my debit for that. So I have these things in controls. Like it's like big expenses. If I want to do travel, I use the one card I have for that. And if I want to do food at any restaurants because I get triple points, I use the credit card for that. So those are my side by sides. Some of y'all are like, well, you eat out a lot, but y'all know I don't be paying all the time. Anyway, so that's where my head is at. But I say all this to say that Mother's Day was great. I sent my mother, while she was in Vegas living her best life, I sent her a bouquet of some really over the top flowers, and also one of those cute like heart flower type of chocolate covered strawberries with the little cheese cakes and stuff. She loves those things, and they're really pretty and pink and all that. So I sent that to her, and I got it sent to her hotel, and it was received. It was delivered straight to her hotel door. She didn't know it was coming from me. I asked someone else what her door number was and was able to coordinate this, and everything came to her on not Valentine's Day, on Mother's Day. And it was perfect. It worked out according to plan. But like the mission impossible of one calling, matching times, and then you're doing it with a time zone difference. So like your 8 a.m. Your 11 a.m. is their 8 a.m. So like the time zone differences. So I had to do all that, but I put it off because I'm a good son. Okay, I'm the firstborn. Firstborn sons got different expectations, especially when you're the oldest, clearly. So that was a different experience. But she loved her gift. She was very happy. She had a good time with her homegirls. They went to Vegas. They won some dough, which is nice. And they had a good time. So I was just happy to just, send my love miles away. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Mother's Day was sweet. So Penn Alumni Weekend, I guess I'll get into some of that. And then I'll get to the parties, and then I'll get into what's been going on this week, because there's a lot of tea. It's a lot of tea. We got a lot going on this week. Okay, so Penn Alumni Weekend was chill. Mr. Johnson, aka Bartender Barry, had yet another great contract. He did the bartending and managed all that for Spectrum, which was Taste of Penn. For those who've been in the past, they call it Penn Spectrum now. So it is like their Taste of Penn, and it's like all this diverse food. It's a more chill party. There's like really great drinks because, of course, Bartender Barry doesn't miss. And it was a vibe. It was cute. It was a nice vibe. This weekend, it just seemed like it went by really fast. It was not my 10-year reunion. My 10 reunion is next year. I wanted to go to I've been going to these reunions. I've been talking about them on this show. But, I like to go to the reunions and see what they're giving. So the 10-year reunion was at the Quad. Now, I hope that my 10-year reunion is not, but it might be at the Quad next year. If it is at the Quad, I'm definitely not wearing the shoes I wore. Now, I didn't ruin my shoes, but let me tell you something, baby. I don't play with my loafers, okay? These were some Steve Maddens, but they still matter to me. They Steve Matters to me. Okay, they might be Steve Madden to you, but they Steve Matters to me. But I was sitting there looking like, see, I got too cute for them to be doing this. Penn be playing games. Ever since Amy Gutman, okay, President Gutman left Penn, it just feels like Penn has not been the same. I don't know if they cut in corners. I don't know what kind of games they playing, but they are definitely giving their semi-flop era right now with the way they're doing things. Okay, I just feel like they get a little cheap. They cutting little edges. It's just getting real, comfortable. I need y'all to step your game up. Okay. Because people still paying high tuition to go there. And when I come to a Penn reunion, y'all better stop playing. Now, the Penn Spectrum food was on point. That new Jamaican restaurant in University City, it's called Erie Entrees or Irie Entrees. It's right there on 40th and Chestnut area. That new Jamaican spot, that is something serious. I was sleeping on it because I was like, Jamaican University City. Because, I'm going to have to say it as somebody who lives in West Philly. But University City, we trying to do all these different little restaurants. And some of that stuff does not hit. Okay? Now, the Indian restaurants, they're good because that is authentic Indian food. And a lot of them places been around before Penn got real gentrified. Okay? So the Indian food is good. The Thai food is decent, right? The Thai food is pretty good here. But sometimes they try to play around with these other cuisines, and I'm just like, I don't know. So this Jamaican spot, I was sleeping on it for a while. I just wasn't taking it seriously. But there was a Penn Black Alumni Association get together there, happy hour, and those drinks, those rum punches, the food, everything in it was good. Them jerk wings, we had the patties, we had the plantains, and oh my goodness, it's the saltfish or whatever they had. It was all that. It was just really good, clean, and just cooked well, not overburnt, not over seasoned. Everything was just real flavorful and balanced. I loved it. And they had brought it back for the next day for the Spectrum event. And it was like a wide variety of different food. They had some Asian food. They had some Jamaican food. They had all types of different cultures. And I said, wow, this is interesting. And this is really important. And yeah, I was really appreciating this situation altogether. So I was just like really happy. So yeah, that was good. The food was good. Now I gotta, me and my good Judy, Miss Amanda, she's probably listening to this on her way to, her work, Dr. Parks. While she's on that way to Delaware, let me tell you something. We gotta talk because the reunion, the reunion was something, honey. And I can't say too much on this podcast because obviously listening. But all I'm gonna say, just talking in general, that if you're going to go, and I'm not referring to her because she was not there. She was out there rooting for her good Jews over there in Virginia. Shout out to the girls at Richmond. Shout out to the girls out there graduating over there. Y'all did y'all things. Congratulations. I know some of y'all listen to my podcast. Congratulations. I was there holding it down because none of my friends was there. None of my friends at 13 was there. Okay, it wasn't my reunion. It was their reunion. But the plan was we was all going to go together. Then everybody realized I really don't really fuck with none of my class, so they didn't go. So I was there. I was there at the weekend. And it was chill. I mean, it was chill. But let me just say this. I'm just speaking in general. I'm not naming names. But I came across something weird. Listen, if you was a player, let's just say, and you was in class of 13 and you slept with everybody and their mother, and you decide to get married to an older Penn graduate, and you decide to have a kid with them, and you get married to them, let's be clear, and you have a kid with them, and it's their 25th reunion, and it's your 10th reunion, and you decide that the entire time you're at the reunion, and you're spending more time with other people, and you got your wife and child stranded out looking for you, and you telling them you somewhere you ain't at, and you doing some other things, and you in your phone, and I'm across, and I'm seeing your phone because you not with them, you over with somebody else, and you getting calls and texts from the wifey, you lying to the wifey while you somewhere else, and you also are dabbling talking to somebody else, and someone else might have saw some things in the phone because you also are high as hell and not on no weed. Shit can get weird. And I'm just saying shit can get weird. And all I gotta say is the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes you can assume because of how people be showcasing their lifestyles and their liveliness on social media that as Nicki Minaj the media. But when people be out here on social media flexing and doing little things, you might be thinking, "Oh my goodness, this person finally got their shit together. They act together. It might be cute." And then you look and you be like, "Wow, there's some other things going on." But at the end of the day, you choose who you love, and how you get them is how you keep them, and how you lose them if you ain't getting them right. So, but I know I had a mouthful, and Dr. Pryor. I like that I can use my platform as a way to contact and talk to my friends who be too busy for the door, but make plans. But I'm gonna say, I just think people need to. I'm not judging people on the drugs you use, but coke is crack is cheap. When they made too much money to do it, don't do coke. People want to listen. Coke is not a good drug. It's not a good drug. I don't know. I've never had it, but I've heard stories. But just people up here love coke. I don't know what it. Okay. So yes, it was a lot. I've seen some people I hadn't seen in a while. There's some people out here with new booze. Everybody got kids now, which is not shameful. I mean, 10 years, we're in our early 30s. Everybody asks me, do I want to have kids? Y'all love asking me that question. Y'all love asking both myself and Mr. Johnson. Let me say this to you. Where in my schedule do I have time to be a father? Crickets. Exactly. Okay, because if I have children, you're not having a podcast, okay? You might not have a column anymore. You might get a book every 2 years, but you're not about to get a column, and you're not getting a podcast, and you damn well not getting a city council show. What you gonna get? Okay? Here's the thing. I'm not against the idea of children. I just need to make time to have children. I think I am fortunate and blessed and privileged, I guess, to be in a space where I'm gainfully employed and employed to myself, self-employed, gainfully self-employed. Can I get an amen? Hallelujah. In a dual income raising household, another plus. We don't really have any crazy debts or anything of that nature. We are both educated. Both are, striving. Both of us will be soon advanced degrees dually. No criminal records, but criminal hands. Because if, we have hands, but we don't have records, criminal records, let's be clear. But we don't have anything that is like, we were in a space where we also have the ability to choose, right? Like sometimes, people have sex and, babies happen, right? Planned pregnancies, unplanned pregnancies, but people have those options. But we're in a position where if we choose to have a child, we can choose that. And we can choose when. And we can even choose how old, Don't want to throw that shot right now. I'm gonna throw that shade. Yes, I'm gonna throw that shade. And if we did adopt a child, it would be a black child. Okay, because I don't know what the brat was talking about, calling that donor, that black male donor, Jiminy Cricket. Like, that's disgusting. They talked about having a child, I think, from a different race for their impregnancy. The brat's, I guess, in something she did. She did a in vitro or something, and she was just saying how, they picked a different race because the black donor looked like Jimmy. Like, that's just fucked up and anti-black as shit. But no, if we did have a child, it would be a black child. It would definitely be a black child. But yes, I don't know if it would be a girl or a boy. I don't know. Don't know. But I would have a black child. It would be definitely a black child, and we would probably get someone younger, so we can, raise them. But, that clock is ticking, though, because, I don't want to have a small child, like really, really older. But you never know. But I love being a gay uncle. I love being a gay godfather to kids that I have chosen to be that for. There are people who've come up to me and told me you're the godfather of my child. I'm like, but I don't even know your child. I never met them. But like, this is true. But no, I think that's where my head is at emotionally. And then in his as well. He started off being like, when we was first dating, before bills were being paid and rent and all those things and all that, it was, oh, I want a bunch of kids. Oh, okay. Who gonna raise all them kids? Because listen, I'm finally learning how to raise myself. Okay, like fully raise myself. Like I know I feel I'm fully grown. I feel like I fully have raised myself now. I feel like I can finally take care of myself. Like when I open up the refrigerator, it's not just snacks in there. There's like real nutritional food with nutritional value. There's like real meat. There's real spices that were not stolen. Shade. Um, I have cooking boards and things. I think I finally got to the point where I could fully take care of myself. I felt like I was a real adult taking care of myself when I got married. Like when we moved into the new place and we got a cutting board, we got a knife, we got real knives, we got a real smoothie, we got all this shit. We got real things. Like there's bowls and plates and forks, tableware. We got we're adulting. I felt like that's when I really felt like I could fully be an adult. Because prior to that, man, I was making ends meet. I was takeout and snacks like you. Nah, I wasn't cooking. I knew how to cook, but I just wasn't invested like that into domestic life. I feel like I'm domesticated in a way where I can say I can take care of myself. Like I'm grown now. Like I really care about things in my house. Like I really care about like what kind of, hand soap I use, what kind of, products I use to clean with. We were just talking about trash bags for the day. Like I'm in that position now in my life. It's just true. But not bad, 31 years old. Not bad. But I say all that to say that I can't even fathom a kid. I can't even have a pet. Like I don't want a dog, I don't want a cat. A goldfish would be nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind fish. I just don't know where I would put the fish. But I have no interest in a pet or a child right now. I'm too busy trying to take care of myself. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. That's where we're at. He busy as hell now too. He's looking like, oh yeah, because you the type that's like, oh, I would love a kid, and then the kid coming and you over it, but the kid's gonna be here for like ever now. We're not those people that believe, oh, you have a kid at 18, that's it. No, it's like literally you have someone for the rest of your life, so you have to commit to that. So, you know, just thoughts. Um, so I went to a new place, a couple of hot spots I went to. I went to Rescue Spa, which I'm in love with. You all saw those videos. I had a little spa day this week. I just wanted to do some different things. It's a cute little spa day at Rescue Spa, which is in Rittenhouse. They also have a location in New York City. But I went this week and got a crazy ass facial. Oh my goodness, the girls there are fabulous. They hooked me up. I got the Bayou Lift facial, which was just everything. And my face was fabulous. I mean, they did a really good deep cleaning. And what I loved about getting that facial is that it really boosted my skin in a way that after having that experience, now that I'm back on I'm on my skin regimen in general, it wasn't hard. It just amplified and accentuated all of my features prior. So all of my features, I had a glow. My glow was there, but my glow glowed even more. Like everything just felt better. Like all of the firming cream and things I use for my skincare, all of that got a boost, and all of it like got tighter and firmer, and everything just was accelerated to the next level. So I feel like this is like a recharge. They told me with that facial to maintain that you need to do it like every 6 weeks. So I feel like every 6 weeks I'm going to start going there, continuing to go there, and just continue to keep that up. And they said it's like an exercise. The more you keep doing it, the more it just continues to just do its thing. So I'm committed to every 6 weeks, not 6 months, I'm like 6 weeks, every 6 weeks, I'm committed to doing this because the results, they're on point. The results are on point, and I love it. So yeah, I feel like every 6 weeks I'm gonna be in there getting this face beat. And just keep it in. And it's all natural. It's non-invasive. It's not like a surgery thing, but it's just a really good facial that just, there's stuff for the pores. There is a serum they do hydration, they work on discoloration, even the tone and all that stuff. And so I'm just going to do this every 6 weeks. Like this is going to be my new commitment. So that is something I'm excited about. It's just like mapping out the facials. Outside of that, outside of that facial experience, they had a wellness, session, and you could go for an hour. And so what I did was I did a sauna, and I just really great sauna. It was really nice. And I didn't realize how good saunas were, but I did a sauna, then I did a hot, steamy bath. Everything was great. It was a good time. And, I needed that after a crazy week and a week ahead. So, I just, did a lot of stuff to just prepare for the next days ahead because so much has been happening already and I loved it. So yeah, it was great. It was, Rescue Spa is dope. It's in Rittenhouse and everyone in there is really friendly. They have a lot of great skincare products that I've talked about previously on the podcast that I've incorporated outside of my routine with Kills. So check them out for sure. Checked out this place with my lit brother Josh. We went to the Bruno Brothers. They have a new so the Bruno Brothers in Concourse at Comcast. So the Comcast building, the original Comcast Center. There's a food court down there that's open to the public, and it's called Concourse. There's a place there now, the Bruno's location, but they Bruno Brothers, as you know it, in that location has changed. The place is now called Focaceria or Focera, whatever it's called. It's a sandwich spot with the focaccia bread or whatever, focaccia bread or whatever. But the bread was really good. It was made with all these sandwiches. So these are like big ass sandwiches, but it's made with that bread. I'm butchering the name, clearly, but it was really good. There were like 7 sandwiches. I tried all 7 of them, and it was great. It was a really good bread. They're like really big. So if you're going out, go with a friend, cut it in half or eat it all out. I mean, I don't think anyone can eat the whole sandwich in one setting unless you're like super hungry. But these are big ass sandwiches. They're not sub sandwiches. They're like the bread, the focaccia bread, and they cut it in half, and then you can eat some. I mean, you can even break it up in thirds, to be honest. It's very dense, but the sandwiches are really good. They have a vegetarian option. They have a really good tuna sandwich that was really good with like a lemon preserve taste to it. It had a zest to it and a seafood taste. It was really good. They also had some sandwiches with prosciutto, prosciutto, and it was like certain types of cheeses, but this is all from the Bruno Brothers brand, so their types of cheeses and prosciuttos and salamis and meats. They had different options. They had something for everybody, to be honest. And one thing about their sandwiches, they are ready to order. It only takes them like 3 minutes to make those sandwiches. They're really fast. And you cannot substitute anything. So everything is as it is. You cannot substitute it. So the vegetarian sandwich is a vegetarian sandwich. They don't change any of this. They don't alternate. They don't say, oh, put this spread on this spread. Everything is made to taste the way they intended to. So it's very strict on that. So if you make sure you check your allergies and check your other things like that. But they pretty much make everything as is. There's not really that much substitutions. I mean, if it's like oil or you don't want arugula, you could just say no arugula. But I don't know if you could, I don't think you could add anything. I don't even know if you could take things off, but you might be able to take something off. But it's going to be hard for you to add anything. So there's no additions. I know that much. So if you get there and it's like this, say, hey, I want this without arugula, just the rest of the sandwich, they'll just probably make it as is to keep it moving. But it's very fast paced. It was really good, dope spot. Lit Brothers we had a double day on Thursday. We went to Spring Awakening at Stratus Lounge, which Stratus Lounge is a rooftop, as you all know, that's at Hotel Monaco. They had their Spring Awakening party. It was a nice rooftop party, but the premiere of that rooftop, it was pretty jazz, drinks, food. It was fabulous. Good times. It was, Assembly and Stratus are like, they're really great rooftops, but they're like night and day, right? Like Assembly is giving you that parkway view with, the museums and the architecture is more loud, lively. Stratus is more in-house. Like that rooftop is very much so the way that they have it set up, it's isolated. You don't get a city view. You don't get to see the rest of the city. It's outdoorsy and inside and outdoor, but that place is not, the view, there's no view. You don't get the view because everything is all pent up. Which I don't know if that's intentional. Maybe they want a level of exclusivity where it's like very intimate. So that was dope. And it was fun. That was a fun party. There was, of course, Philadelphia Distilling. Me and my fave, Kelly, nearby, we went out for drinks and caught up and tried the new drink menu and food menu at Philadelphia Distilling. Let me just say that they always impress me, but I was like enamored, okay? They were great. New drinks, new additions for the season, but new food. They have this new chicken salad, roasted chicken salad. Sandwich, woo, definitely top tier. The dry rub wings are always great. They had a burger. I had the burger. They had some new additions. They had this really great. I mean, they always have their like roasted potatoes that was good. But there was a lot. There was some cool stuff they were playing with on the menu that really stood out to me. That just seems to be just perfect food. I mean, they're just they don't really miss over there. Every time I go there, I'm always impressed by the stuff that they have and the food that they have, and there's just no denying the work. So yeah, they're just sensational. Um, Free library event that I did in conversation with Brett Mendel at the Free Library. We talked about his book Philadelphia, Corrupt and Consenting, which was very timely because of some things that went down. You all know Brett Mendel sued the city for wrongful termination based on his experience at the sheriff's office working under Sheriff Rochelle Balau, which she fired him within 5 weeks of working on the job. Big deal. Ended up walking away with over $500,000 settlement. And, has since then has written his book. His book is out now. It's a great book, of course. We had a really great conversation at the Free Library. The main one that's over there on Vine in near the Parkway. Great conversation. Really great talk all around. A lot of people came out. A lot of surprise faces that I wasn't expecting. Alexandra Hunt, who was running for city controller, she showed up. What I loved the most about it was that we had a really great room in spite of the fact that it was happening during the game between the Celtics and the Sixers, and that was a Thursday night game. So that one was the one in Philly where everybody was all hyped. Well, we went, we had a good, we was able to have a successful event in spite of all that. People showed up, and what I loved the most was that the folks that came through, okay, listen to the podcast who came, most of the people there bought both of the books. They bought my book and they bought Brett's book. And so it was Brett's book opening, his kickoff. But even though Brett, it was Brett's event, people really did like the flow of both of us talking and having our convo. And we both, was able to sell books. So that was pretty dope. Shout out to Uncle Bobby's and the Free Library for having me and having us and doing their thing. So it was dope. It was a great experience. But you all know that next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, May 24th, I'm at the new Barnes & Nobles on 17th and Chestnut at 6 p.m. talking about the case for cancel culture. It'll just be myself. I'll be giving remarks and talking, but just really signing some good books and meeting you all in person. So please get ready to go. There's no RSVP required. Just show up. I want people to be there. This is one of the few, I think this is probably one of the last Philly book signings I'm going to do for a while, I believe. Unless something miraculously come up. But, I'm getting ready for June. I'm getting ready for the summer. I'm getting ready for the National Book Tour again to get back out there. And there's going to be some cities, some dates coming out across the country. So all of my, national listeners, there will be more stops in cities we have not been to. I got to go to the South. Like, we're not going to act like I'm not going to the South. You know what I'm saying? We're definitely going to go to the South. Boy from the South, as you know. That's a song, by the way. You can listen to that song, Boy from the South, BFTS. That song is on Jamarcus Online, the new website that I keep telling you how to go on, checking it out, download some music and all that good stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely be in the South this summer for sure, promoting the book and selling the book, of course, and selling copies. Books are so different from movies and albums because, the way that books go, word of mouth continues to increase sales. And I just want to maximize my first 6 months with this book. Like, I don't want to leave any stone unturned. Book sales are steady and going, and everywhere we go. The cool thing was that this book, this audio book, all of the things have not left the top 10, the top 20s of the lists that are on Amazon. And that's just Amazon sales. We're not even talking about actual physical direct sales. It's like people are consistently buying it. And so I want to just keep the momentum. Like, my interest is I don't want to have a first month where it's just one big boom of sales and then sales just drop the next month. It's the good thing is my book sales have been just staying steady and rising, increasing over the past, we're going to be on month 3 later this week on the 21st. On the well, actually next week it'll be next Monday. We'll be on month 3, and so comparing month 1 to month 2, there's been a steady climb, and so my goal is to just keep the sales going upward or just staying steady to maintain that because I have goals and I want to, I want to get to some points, some certain goals. So the way to do that, essentially, especially the first 6 months of a book, they say the first year of the book is the measure, but the first 6 months for me is crucial because I want to hit all these spots where the momentum is, where the interviews. So I'm still doing media interviews. Like I'm still talking to publications and podcasts and groups and appearances. Like all of that stuff is what you keep going. Like who are not in the book world may not understand it because like with movies, movies, you do that big run up until the movie comes out. And then you really don't do much media after the movie comes out because you're really trying to get that first box office sale. So normally most movies, except for a couple, will have the box office weekend is your energy. So if you have a strong box office opening, then normally that's where all the boom goes to. And if you have a really strong one, then that word of mouth will then lead it to sales. So you don't have to do much marketing on that point. Books don't work that way because first of all, it takes time to read a book. And everybody's got a personal life and everybody's got shit going on. So when the book comes out, right, you do the marketing, you do a lot of marketing to get people to buy those books for the first week sales, but people have to read the book. And it may take people, roughly 2 to 3 weeks to finish that book. And then once those first people read the book, read it, then they spread the word around. And then you have a wave of people that do. And this is all happening simultaneously while you're consistently doing interviews, consistently selling books, consistently doing it. All these things are overlapping. So it's been fun because throughout this entire period, these past 3 months, I'm getting a resurgence of people that's like, oh my goodness, I just read your book. Can you come speak at this? Oh, I just read your book. We're going to put it in our book club. We're going to do this in the summer. We're going to do this in the fall. So people are like, even people are getting ready for curriculums. I don't want to tell anybody a secret. I don't want to leak things, but I'll just say this. Because the book came out like this first half of the year, there are people who've been reading the book, and as they're planning for their fall curriculums and programs, they're thinking about ways to incorporate certain books on topics, and council culture is one of those hot topics. So who knows where we will see the book, but the book is taking a life of its own. I'm really grateful. I'm really just love how so many of you all have just kept the conversation going. And yeah, we're just going to keep it moving. But yeah, super excited about that. And then lastly, before I get into the hot topics, I'm a member of a secret social club, secret club. I found out about it. I was out with a great notable person. They will go unnamed, but they took me to this underground club called 101 or 101. And there's articles written about it. So you can go look up this secret club, put in Secret Club Philly 101. Never heard of it. It's funny. Like I'm a journalist, so there's been stories written about it. But for whatever reasons, I forgot about this place. I didn't even think about it. But I went for the first time. You can't take pictures. You can't videotape anything. So some of you all may have followed my Instagram story that night. This was Thursday night. And you saw me put a picture up of this card with this black dot. And it said, if you know, you know. Well, that's what I was talking about. So there's this like underground secret club, members only kind of club. They have great caviar, great cocktails, a lot of great things, but I really can't speak too much on it. But all I want to say is I'm in there. So to my friends who want to know what it's about, we'll talk off the podcast. But I'm checking it out. It's interesting. It's definitely not Union League. Let me just say that. There's none of that kind of crap going on. It's a very diverse crowd. Very diverse, very upbeat, very social. But someone took me, someone really, really notable, and we hung out and they were just they got me a card. I don't know how I got it, but I got a card. So that was kind of a fun, interesting experience. But yeah. Now on to this week. So Trump is back. I know he's been back, but he's back. Guess who's back? Back again. Trump is back. Tell a friend. CNN had him do the town hall. Now, he's been having a week. I mean, he's basically have been found responsible, or at least jurors believe that he sexually harassed, a woman many years ago. And there is a $5 million settlement, like Trump. And they did not find him responsible for rape or anything of that nature, but it was bad. It was bad. I want to, there's a lot going on. So first of all, he's appealing this $5 million judgment that was ruled for E. Jean Carroll. Her name is E. Jean Carroll. Basically, he's now appealing this $5 million award that was basically that was by the Manhattan federal jury. Basically found that he sexually abused and defamed the former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll. She was a journalist. She's not anymore. It's been many years. But the lawyers, Trump's lawyers, filed a notion to appeal in the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Thursday. This was after the federal judge filed a written ruling that endorsed the jury verdict and ordered Trump to pay Carroll the full sum. He had already said he was going to appeal anyway, regardless of the decision, so no surprise there. But basically, she alleged that Trump raped her at a Bergdorf Goodman department store back in 1996 in New York. And then she said he defamed her when he denied her claim and said she wasn't his type and suggested she made up the story to boost sales of her book. And basically, the jury found him liable for battery based on the sexual assault claim and said that he should pay about $2 million in damages for the civil battery claim. And then they said he had to pay nearly $3 million in damages because she successfully proved that the defamation claim that she had against him. Now, the jury found that Trump did sexually abuse her. They did claim that. Like, there was no doubt about that. They said that it was sufficient enough to hold him liable for the battery, but they just did not find that she proved he raped her. He's denied all these claims because we need to make it clear. He said that the civil trial verdict was a, quote, total disgrace. And this happened in 1996, so that was over 25 years ago. People are asking, well, why is this coming up now? Is there a statute of limitations? The issue is that by him going the extra mile of defaming her, that opens her up to then defend her case of the defamation. And with that's a serious situation. That's a serious case because not only does she have to prove defamation, she has to prove that he lied. She has to prove that he had the malicious intent to lie. And then she also has to prove basically that whatever is up for debate actually happened. And because there was no criminal charges filed against him in 1996, and there was none of those things that happened, it almost felt like this case wasn't going to make it. But, it did. And there's several things. One, she's a prominent, known white woman. She had the ability to have legal fees paid for. We have to know that in many of these cases, when people question women's truth, it's a matter of coming after a powerful man, you have to have money. And there were people who were invested in providing her the fiscal support. We don't see a lot of Black women have that same access to capital or money, especially when you're going after a man like Donald Trump. That's a very, let's just be clear that, just because E. Jean Carroll was able to defend her case and prove her innocence and prove that she was telling the truth, do not make the mistake of assuming that for all women victims in these situations, like women who make these claims that all these women are lying, and that if it's true, they need to go through all of these things because it's very hard to go after a powerful white rich billionaire man like him. Like it's hard to do that, and so many women have had those experiences possibly, right? They've made those allegations. And don't be quick to dismiss and say that all those women who made those allegations that are not as connected as she was or had the resources that she had, that they're lying because they didn't go that far. We make that mistake a lot in society, and it just really pisses me off. So I just wanted to just say that. But furthermore, he goes on national television days after mocking, her in a conversation with CNN. They had a town hall on CNN for Trump. And for starters, I just don't understand why they chose to do a town hall with Trump for several reasons. One, the election year is next year. It's in 2024. The primaries are in 2024. it's very early, for starters. Two, like, I just don't understand why there's a town hall on him. There hasn't been a town hall on Ron DeSantis or any other Republican candidates running. There hasn't been a Biden town hall yet. Like, why are we giving Trump this huge platform right now? The only thing I could come up with is ratings, because Trump showed his full ass. And no one is shocked by this. Like, we're not shocked about Trump showing his ass. Like, this is what he does. This is what he is. This is who he is. So there were just several things that really stood out to me in this whole entire conversation. These issues or whatever. Like, for starters, I'm just sitting here like, well, why are we doing this, right? Why are we even having these types of conversations right now? We know what it's giving. We know what the optics are. It's just bad around. So they have this woman who interviews him. Her name is Caitlin, and she is a young journalist. She's my age. She's actually 31. She's 31. Her background in politics and how she got access to covering Trump is very interesting, because she was with the Daily Caller, which is a very far right, thing. You know what I'm saying? That's the, you know what I'm saying? That's the issue that I have or whatever like that. That is important. I just think it's important that people take that part seriously, right? That was with a right-wing publication that put out very slanted, biased news. Some of that stuff wasn't necessarily credible. And I think some of the problems I have with a lot of that is that, look, she now goes to CNN because I think they wanted to appeal to, that middle of the road. And she goes up there and she's doing her speech. And I think her name is Caitlin Collins. She's a CNN White House correspondent. And my disgust with that whole conversation was just like how there was all this energy. Yeah, her name is Caitlin Collins. And they do this thing where everyone wants to put out a statement. So she gets dragged by Trump throughout the whole night. She's fact-checking him left and right like it's tennis. He's saying a bunch of lies. The crowd is in love with him in New Hampshire. I think they were in New Hampshire. The crowd is in love with him. They're like all rooting and cheering and laughing at his jokes. He's making a lot of sexist, problematic jokes. They're laughing, they're clapping, they're rooting, they're asking questions. There's like a lot of love in there. There's people up there like, I'm an undecided voter, but then they're like, he's like, I can get you a job, and they're like, yeah, sign me up, and they're all cool and broy with him. The test room outside basically said that none of what happened that night changed their perspective, because they know what they want. Even on questions about some of his behavior, they were like, oh, I'm concerned. But when they asked the question, was anybody mind changing in a different way? They were just like, no, because Trump is giving what he's giving. One of the interesting things was that CNN put out a statement, said, at the time, tonight, Caitlin Collins exemplified what it means to be a world-class journalist. She asked tough, fair, and revealing questions, and she followed up and fact-checked Donald Trump in real time. Like, let's be real. To arm voters with crucial information about his positions as he enters the 2024 election as the Republican frontrunner, that is CNN's role and responsibility, to get answers and hold the powerful to account. Bullshit. Let's be clear. The CNN is inconsistent as fuck. They spend all this time publicly acknowledging Trump's, like, various shows, spending time fact-checking Trump every 5 seconds. Then they want to turn around and say that they need to inform the public. We already know. You gave this man a platform to rally up his base. You gave him a platform that you clearly didn't know how to fact-check, because the reality is that if you know you got a liar, you know you got a liar. There is a really great metaphor that I'm going to read that came on Twitter, and this guy killed it. I mean, he killed it. I mean, And when I tell you who the guy is, because I'm gonna read directly what was said. When I tell you what this guy said, it just stood out to me, because to me, this is the shit I'm talking about. Like, every time I turn around, it's always the same antics each time. So Michael Harriot said this. I'm going to read directly on his Twitter what he said. There was a shoplifting ring in my hometown who was known. There was a shoplifting ring in my hometown who was known for dropping huge sums of money on designer clothes. Everyone in town knew who they were, but they never got caught. Some high-end stores would even let them shop freely, knowing they were thieves. Why? A thread. See, the stores all hoped the thieves were there to spend and not to steal. They essentially wanted to make money off the thieves. It might seem that the workers were in cahoots with the thieves, but here's the thing. A lot of people who work in high-end retail make commission. They make money when they sell merchandise, but they don't lose money when merchandise is stolen. Essentially, they have an incentive to make money off thieves, but no incentive to stop thieves from stealing. Thieves know, quote, the people in the store are not the same as, quote unquote, the store. Any thief can steal $1,000, but if they convince someone they'll make $1,000, a good thief can steal $1 million. If you aren't negatively impacted by thieves, you don't have to care about the merchandise or the money or the country. But here's the question. If you know someone is a thief and you invite them into the store and you're only doing it for money, even if they don't steal from your store, are you contributing to their ability to steal? Does this make you part of the theft ring? What if, instead of high-end clothes, the thieves are stealing a democracy? I'm asking for CNN. I'm not saying Caitlin Collins is a thief. I doubt Chris, the CEO of CNN, is in cahoots with Donald Trump. I'm just saying they aren't negatively impacted when he steals. That's why they let him in the store. That was Michael Harriot. He is a writer. He writes a lot about race. He talks a lot about various things. He does comedy writing on the Amber Ruffin show. He's at the Griot all the time, writing as a podcast in the Griot. But that's Michael Harriot. And, he says a lot of different, things. But that right there was just the perfect analogy of what's going on. It's just pretty much is what Trump is going to fucking do. And you let him do it. And you think it's okay. And the rest of us are like, enough. So it was no reason for CNN to give him a premature town hall. There was no reason for them to let him get up there and lie. And to sit up there and say she fact-checked in real time, everyone has to fact-check him. And to say that he's a Republican frontrunner right now, a year before the race, is just really irresponsible. And there's just no excuse for it. And CNN is really, let's keep it 100. I got a theory about CNN. CNN is basically doing this shit right now because they're trying to build up momentum for their, for the gap in Fox News. So I think, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think the strategy is that Fox, since Tucker Carlson has been off air, there has been a boost in CNN and MSNBC viewership. Like, Tucker Carlson has left a hole at Fox News. Fox News is hitting hard in the ratings. I think CNN is like, this is our opportunity. So I think they're thinking that they can gravitate and generate and get these Republicans and these super conservatives to translate to CNN now that Fox News has left them hanging. So now there seems to be a conversion effect of viewers going to different other cable shows, and CNN is getting their ducks in alignment to get the capitalize off of some of that. It's dirty. It's media, and it's the business. It's the business for them. Cable news don't give a fuck about us, y'all. I'm sorry. Cable news do not give a fuck about us when it comes to political coverage. When it comes to political coverage, these cable stations are just really just trying to compete and make money, and it's hurting the public. It really is. It's just irresponsible. And yeah, it's just irresponsible. And what's even more annoying, right, is that after the town hall, they spent hours upon hours, CNN did, running all this commentary and these shows, Anderson Cooper and them just talking about it. It's like, so y'all start the mess, and then y'all created programs, right after, to just unpack the mess that they started. Like, you're talking about, oh, he lied this, he lied that. Well, you know what? If you didn't give him a platform to lie, if you didn't actually give him a town hall to actually talk, you wouldn't even been in that situation. And I feel bad for Caitlin Collins because they gave her this platform to let her just sit up there and be the brunt. And listen, she's getting a check, and she has been and worked at worse places than CNN, clearly. Okay, the Daily Caller is not that great. But they took advantage of all of these elements to basically Milk it. And then they want to hide under we want to have voters be informed. Child, we already know what it is. Everybody know what it is. And there was nothing Trump was going to say that was going to change anything. Even the people that watched it as Trump supporters did not walk away from the situation being like, I have a different viewpoint on this. Bullshit. So I just wanted to call a spade there. I just was not here for it. In other words, speaking of liars, George Santos is indicted, okay, he is charged with fraud, money laundering, theft of public funds, and false statements. He allegedly, has been accused of embezzled contributions from supporters, fraudulently obtained unemployment benefits, and lied in disclosures to the House of Representatives. A 13-count indictment, was earlier this week. The U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York had charged him, George Santos, which his real name is George Anthony Devolder Santos, better known as George Santos, of course. He is the United States Congressman representing the 3rd District of New York. They gave him 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of making materially false statements to the House of Representatives. The indictment is under seal by a federal grand jury sitting in Central Islip, New York. He was arrested early this week, and he's going to be arraigned. Well, he was arraigned before the U.S. magistrate in Central New York. It's a mess. It's a mess. But we knew this was coming. We all knew George Santos was going down. It's going down fast, okay? So when he runs for re-election for U.S. Congress next year, he's not getting reelected. That congressional seat will go to a Democrat. Knocking on wood, hoping it happens. I think the Republicans are gonna lose the House. I think next year the Democrats can take back the House, the Senate. They're gonna keep the Senate, I believe. They're gonna take back the House. And if they take back the House and the Senate, we might get some shit done. If we take back the House and Senate, I need the Equality Act to get passed. Okay? In 2025, the Equality Act needs to get passed. Facts. It needs to be the first thing because they took so fucking long. Like, it's time. The Equality Act needs to happen in 2025. It's time. And you know what's funny? That will mark the 10-year anniversary of the Supreme Court's ruling on gay marriage. So we got legally able to get married in 2015. 2025 could be the year where we finally get all the fucking rights we was entitled to for decades. So that's what we're dealing with over there. Just putting it out there. But yes, he's indicted. Senator Dianne Feinstein, she is 89 years old, y'all. She's that Democratic senator in California. She's not running for re-election, but she finally, after months of hiatus, showed up, to Congress, 89 years old in a stroller. And I'm not trying to be ageist at all, because that's not my plan. But she has been in office for decades. They call her the establishment, the institution. It doesn't get more establishment than Dianne Feinstein, who's been there forever. And she's been able to push away folks from seats, but she's not running for re-election. I just really hope, come on, it's just time. It's time for new blood. Just leaving it there. Just gonna leave it there. Now in Philly, y'all heard about these inmates who escaped. Too much going on. One of them has gotten caught. I don't even understand when I read this story that 2 inmates escaped the prison. Like, I just don't understand. I don't get it. How does, what? Yeah, it's a lot of questions. I just have a lot of questions. But some of this stuff is wild. So right now, what is being said is that, there's so let me break this up. So yes, 2, and before we start, they're black. Okay. They're black, but the whole tea is, which I've been trying to keep up with some of this stuff because it's just every time I turn around, there's some things going on. So this happened. So this suspect that is happening is that the suspect was charged in the 2021 Pat Stakes beating is now accused of helping two inmates escape the prison. So that's what is being said. So a suspect has been charged in the deadly beat. So the suspect that was charged, there was a deadly beating outside of Pat's King of Steaks. This is back in 2021. This person is now accused of helping two prisoners escape from the Philadelphia Industrial Correctional Center. The guy is named Jose Flores Herrera, who is 35 years old. He's not an ex. He was the lookout. Okay, and so he's incarcerated at PICC, but he's now being charged with criminal conspiracy and escape. He was already behind bars and it was accused of killing someone in Queens, New York. I'm sorry, the person was from Queens, New York, but he was accused of killing someone in a fight at Pat's. But they said Pat's. Oh, Pat's King of Steaks. I'm sorry. Yeah, Pat's King of Steaks. I'm just used to just calling it Pat's. So Pat's and Gino. So this is Pat's in South Philly. But what happened is that on Thursday, the U.S. Marshals arrested 24-year-old Nasir Grant. That is one of the two inmates who cut their way out of prison last weekend. So this is a big deal. He was being held on narcotics and gun violations. They captured him near 28th and Dolphin in Strawberry Mansion after there was a 4-day manhunt. But they're now looking for the 18-year-old. His name is Amin Hurst, who was accused of killing 8 people. He is 18 years old. They call him a serial killer, okay? They call him 18-year-old serial killer. Both of these are two young black men. Well, two young black men, arguably, yeah. But it's just like, because the other guy, Nasir Grant, he's 24. Like, I just am like, what the fuck is going on? But there was a plan, you know? There was a plan, and they escaped. One of them already got caught. The other one's still in the loose. Ugh. But y'all want to keep funding the police in prisons, and they get all this money. They can't even do their job. It's like they don't even care. It's like they're just like how does like people who literally are like dangerous. Like this guy has killed 4 people. He is a serial killer, and he is out on the loose. Whew. And then the other one just out here and got caught within 4 days. So you mean to tell me when they really want to get him, they want to get him. But this other one's on the manhunt, and the days keep ticking. They haven't got him yet. Maybe by the time this podcast drops, they might have gotten him. But I'm like, damn, U.S. Marshals, what the hell? So we'll see. Another incident took place, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but there was an incident between 2 black men. There was an older man and a younger guy who shot this man. They were shooting at each other, gun possession, shot and killed a canvasser. They were both 2 campaign canvassers that was working with One Pennsylvania, One PA. They are a group that's an IE, an independent expenditure that was backing Helen Gim and other progressive candidates. Now, let's be very clear that when I get into this happened out in Germantown earlier this week. Y'all heard about the shooting, all the details. I'm not saying Helen Gim's campaign has anything to do with this. Let me just be 100. Their campaign is independent. But I do have some thoughts about the way they went about it. And so I have some opinions about it as we get close to this election. So this incident took out in broad daylight. They was out there canvassing literature with One PA literature. On the flyer, Helen Gim was prominently on it. And they were passing out. Apparently got into a feud. It's been reported that they had beef with each other for a while. There was some tension already there, apparently. And then it led to gunfire. And this person is not being arrested or charged. Basically, it's viewed as an act of self-defense. But you just wonder to yourself, both of these people carry guns on them and they shot each other and one is dead? Like, how fucked up is that, right? Well, it happened. The guy, I think the younger guy was in his early 20s. The other one was in their mid-40s or late 40s. Like, this is wild. And they were out canvassing, and this leads to gun violence? Like, that's just wild to me. But it happened. Someone has died, and it happened. Gun violence is on the streets. So initially, it got political because there was some notation that these were Helen Gim people, campaign people, workers. Helen Gim's came out first and just basically was like, we don't know the people. They kind of like, these are our staffers. They just really immediately shut it down on the affiliation. The problem is that the way that they spoke on and they separated, it was very much like there was a little bit of I would say intellectual dishonesty slightly that, okay, sure, they weren't your campaign staffers, but it wasn't too far-fetched for reporters and people to assume such, given that you all are affiliated with them. And there are photos of Helen Gim in group photos with these individual men and group shots that were helping the canvas. Now, I'm not to say that she may know any of these individuals personally or whatever, but the interesting thing is that the person that runs One Pennsylvania now, the executive director, I believe his name is Chris Paul. He was a former staffer for Helen Gim. And this is not the one who shot or got shot. Let me be clear. This is the person that is now running One PA. He was a staffer at Helen Gim's office. So listen, the crazy thing is that Helen Gim's connections and all these relationships she have come from people that have worked with her. Like, these people have done movements to different positions. That's why there's these progressive organizations that are supporting her, because she does have ties to them. It's just interesting how everyone likes to act like there's no ties here. Like the fact that it's now come out that John Cho, who was at AmerisourceBergen, the exec who was the boss of her husband, not only was he giving her money, but actually John Cho's wife was giving her money as well. But yeah, I digress. It just seems to be money all over that place. But the interesting thing is that I'm sitting here like, you know these people. You know them a little bit. Like, to act like it was, the way that Helen's campaign manager really acted like it was just some conspiracy, like this false news appended to Helen, it really wasn't that. Like, these people were technically Gim supporters. They were Gim supporters through another organization, and maybe this person didn't have the language completely correct, like, oh, they weren't campaign staff workers, but they were flyering for Helen, okay, prominently in a neighborhood. Like, come on. And that's the stuff that annoys me, because, again, there's always these unfair slanted attacks during the free press. And granted, I get it. Helen's not having the best red carpet rollout that she would like, but let's not act like there isn't things that are worth talking about. So, of course, I spoke eventually once all the facts came together, and I made the distinction very clear that, listen, we're not going to say it's Helen Gim and to blame Helen Gim's campaign directly is tragic. But in reporting this, these were people that were out there flying for her and other progressive candidates, but her prominently, and that's a detail, that's a fact. Does it tell you anything about Gim's campaign itself? No, but it's actually, it matters, right? Because we do care about the who, what, when, and where. Y'all know that. Like, when the moment you heard that they said there were campaign canvassers, just on general information, wouldn't you want to know? Everyone was like, whose campaign was it? Like, everybody wanted to know who was connected to it. That's just facts. And so whether or not some people will take that and interpret it a certain way, that's not the prerogative of the free press. It's up to you to make those distinctions, but you also have to be mindful not to come off as a tone-deaf person. And I felt like some of their messaging just seemed to be really distancing themselves from One PA, like they don't know those people, like as if those people were not around them. So it's the intellectual dishonesty for me. Other things that are going on that is getting me is that, I just broke this big story over the weekend about Sheriff Rochelle Bilal. Her staffers are being questioned by the FBI. I've interviewed staffers that are currently working in the sheriff's office that says they've been asked questions from the FBI, okay, about her. Now, the FBI cannot confirm or deny any investigations when they happen, but you got to ask. I did contact the FBI per the tradition. They do not, go out their way to announce anybody that they are, questioning or not. So, but in this story that's in Philly Mag, it's online, phillymag.com, FBI questioned us about Philly Sheriff Rochelle Bilal, staffers say. On elections eve, critics of the incumbent sheriff revealed the FBI asked about Bilal's spending and management. That was the story. That's the story. There's a lot here. It's a lot. It's a big, deep read. Listen, the reporting on this, man, all the sources, the information, listen, it was Olympic, but it was important to report on. I must say that the office didn't want to give me any comment. I asked questions. They didn't want to give me comment. The questions that they asked the staffers were several things. A lot of it was about a situation in which recently she tried to, based on this Inquirer report, that it reported that the city's finance department blocked her proposal to more than double her $136,000 annual salary. She wanted to raise it to $285,000 $100,000, which would have made her the highest paid elected official in the city. And this is part because she raised all of her executives' salaries. So by raising those salaries, it appears to be allegedly, the presumption is that by her raising those salaries, then the intention was to then justify why she needed to raise her salary. And so by doing that, she came to this conclusion of this number, which got blocked. I don't know whose idea it was, but that was weird. There was also the conversation about the Chicky and Pete's, which was also reported in Inquirer about this $6,662 holiday party at Chicky and Pete's that was in December of 2022. The federal investigators apparently asked this person about this particular account that was used to pay the Chickies and Pete's in two separate checks at two different times, one in December of last year and January of this year. So that's what one of the staffers said. These people, by the way, for clarity, are longtime sheriff's office employees. They have not donated to any candidate's campaign. They are basically speaking for, because, the election is on Tuesday, and they really, are trying, apparently, they're trying to basically inform the public to seize on this moment when their city's interest in the office was at its highest. They spoke on the condition that they did not want to be named because they fear retaliation for what they describe, and also retaliation for their involvement in what they describe as an active investigation. So some of them said they was contacted by the FBI prior, but this all happened in April. A lot of these conversations took place in April, like literally, y'all, last month. Like the FBI has reached out to these people since last month. The spokesperson, Teresa Lundy, is Rochelle Balau's. Well, she's the sheriff's office spokeswoman. I reached out to her. She didn't really have any comment for me, but she did tell me, on record, that she has not herself been investigated by the FBI. But she, could not comment any further at the time. So that's what I got there. Really was trying to hammer down questions, get in contact with Rochelle, get to the bottom of everything. The interesting thing about Rochelle was that over the weekend, Michael Uttermeyer, who was running against her for sheriff, had shared my article and basically said, look, the FBI is looking into, Rochelle Balau, X, Y, and Z. Rochelle Balau turned around and sent out a message to her supporters, and we have the receipts for that. I have the receipts to see both of their messages in their, their text groups and whatever, where they said, we want to get the record clear. She said she's not being investigated by the FBI. She said that she did not try to double her salary. She just was she said she doesn't have any stolen hidden guns or something like that. I didn't address anything about these guns, but I guess there was an article written about some controversy in the sheriff's office with another employee. That office has so many problems. Personally, I want to abolish the office. I think the office should be abolished. Mayoral candidate Alan Dom proposed that himself. He said that the sheriff's office should be abolished because of all the corruption and problems that have been there long before Rochelle Balau was in that position, but now it just seemed that there's just more and more problems. Brett Mendel, who, I had the book talk with for the story, I asked him straight up, has he been contacted by the FBI? In this story, he said he has been. He did admit that the FBI has contacted him. But there's a lot going on there. So there's just so much to be said, about a lot of the politics and the things that was said. And, it's a lot. So, I just, people just need to be smarter. People just need to be smarter. That's just my big thing. People need to be smarter and make smarter decisions. And, you are the company you keep. And a lot of people don't talk about that. Like, you are the company you keep. It's easy to be public and criticize different people. It's easy to be those people. And, that's just the big deal. Seriously. So yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big point. And too often we don't, see, what's going on. So we don't see what's going on. We don't talk about, some of the stuff. We always play identity politics, and that's something that annoys me a lot. Um, and that's when the stuff that happens left and right, and I think that's some of the stuff that people don't pay attention to, and some of that stuff is, you know, uh, some of that stuff is real, right? You got to figure out who who's there, what they're doing, what their money's looking like, what's the motives. Just saying, because in FBI, if FBI is asking questions, I don't know how I feel about that. Look, that's not a good look. But I digress. Um, there's a lot going on with these odd ads and endorsements. I know y'all ready for me to predict who the next Philly mayor will be and how this will play out. There's been a lot, I mean, Mark Lamont Hill is endorsing Helen Gim. Michael Court already announced it. There was some heat I had on social media with some of the stuff that I was seeing. And honestly, I really felt some type of way because people are just starting to really show their ass and just doing the most. And I hate that. I hate these types of conversations, and people are really making a big fuss. And I just think, that there's a lot of problems out there, and people are doing some misleading stuff that is just disgusting. And people just really play these games. Like earlier, they were talking about Rebecca Reinhardt's rally, 40 people, Sherelle Parker's rally, 100 people, Helen Gim's rally, which she just recently had over 1,000 people. And the problem is that that's misleading. Rebecca Reinhardt didn't even have a rally. She had literally a canvassing kickoff event, and she's been canvassing. And it's just like, why are we putting misinformation out there? It's just a lot of just misleading information. It's just like, why are you saying they had a rally when they had a canvassing event? They didn't even have a rally. But Rebecca had a rally with Bernie Sanders, and it was Bernie Sanders, AOC. And this is just some of the, the things that, look, you can have these people here and these people highlight these people and promote. But the problem that I'm seeing here is that we spend so much of this energy, there's back and forth. They said, oh, she was in a union building, and some of the labor people were mad. It's been a lot of this unnecessary mudslinging, and God damn it, people don't give a fuck. People don't fucking care. Voters don't care. I'm telling you, as a political reporter and a journalist who's been covering this election, people are just, everyday people do not care about a lot of this stupid mudslinging that's happening. They don't. They want to they want to elect people, they want to vote. I'm worried, y'all. I'm worried about voter turnout. I think voter turnout is going to be super, super low. I think there's just a lot of that. So, Michael Court Esquire, who, I respect him as a person who shares opinions, who does his thing. He makes his post and he says, Michael Court Esquire, black attorney, Mark Lamont Hill, PhD, black author, Greg Carr, PhD, black academic, are pro-black and progressive, and all three have endorsed Helen Gim for mayor. Be pro-black, be progressive, vote for Helen. Come on now. Now, listen, I'm Ernest Owens, okay? Black journalist, author, and academic. And I'm pro-black and I'm progressive. And I'm personally voting for Rebecca Reinhardt for mayor. Honestly, let's not do this. Let's not do this. And I felt some type of way because I'm just like, let's not do that. Let's not create these binaries. Because was Helen Gim pro-black when she walked her ass up in the Union League? And Michael Court, you endorsed Rochelle Bilal for sheriff. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. You endorsing Rochelle Bilal for sheriff. Sit down, okay? Just sit down. Those are one of those, go sit down. I don't have any issues with him. I like him 95% of the time. But, there's just times where some of the antics and some of the bullshit just have to stop. Because what we're not going to do is this, especially for her. Support your candidate, like your candidate, do your thing. But don't sit up here and conflate electoral politics with the movement. That's very irresponsible. And it's we got to stop doing that shit. At the end of the day, electoral politics do not define my commitment to supporting black issues and black people. I'm just so tired of people, going about that route. It's just tacky, it's tired. And you know what's crazy? At the end of the day, black people like myself, Mark, and other people, we're going to be here regardless. So why do you use these opportunities to say that voting for one candidate over another candidate is this, that, and the third? Like, we got to stop doing that shit. That shit is old. That shit is problematic. And I'm tired of it. Like, I'm tired of these tired ass narratives. My blackness and progressiveness will never rely on electoral politics. And guess what? You can support your candidate and still be pro-black and progressive as well. If you're not voting this, if you vote for Donald Trump, that's the one exception to the rule. But this shit is so fucking corny. And some of these people, and I'm not naming names, but some of y'all out here, you black academics and activists, stop making yourselves caricatures. Like, it becomes like performative and caricaturist. And people was really pissed off about how stuff was being framed and done. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just real. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just real. That's on facts, period. Period. So, just, let's keep it 100. So that's been going on. These endorsements, AOC and Bernie Sanders endorsing Helen, all this. I just feel like this has gotten to the point. I mean, the mayor of Chicago, these people don't even live here. These people don't even live here. You know what I'm saying? These people don't even live here. So I get that there might influence some people, but I don't know. Whatever it takes to get this vote out, I suppose. But I want to get into, really, because as you can see, I'm irked. I'm irked because I am just so tired of all of the random bullshit that's been going on. But I want to say this. I went to a great event on Sunday called A Seat at the Table. C2 Consulting, LLC, which is ran by a lovely black woman named Chelsea Cox, who is an incredible woman in her own right, who does a lot of political consulting and work. She, has a lot of great people that she do great work for, like Morgan Cephas, who's her sister. She also does work for other candidates running in different races, and she's just become a really great firebrand as far as someone who can get out the word and connect. And she's an avid listener of Ernestly Speaking, and so she invited us at Ernestly Speaking, the show, but myself, of course. We had our own table at the Seat at the Table event, which was at Reserve, a nice lounge, good food, great drink. It was sponsored by the Black Leadership PAC, which is really pushing out who they believe to be pro-black candidates. And their candidates are diverse. They're not just black, but they are supporting, and it's led by people like Ryan Boyer, who is over the laborers. Me and Ryan, of course, as y'all know, are going to be co-hosting a show on WRD for Election Special, which is going to be from 10 to 1. Please tune in live. We'll be on there, and I'll be talking to mayoral candidates and other people running. It's going to be sponsored by Black Leadership PAC, which is super dope. But please show up and show out. But the party was great. My good Judy Sharon came, and Sharon Cooks, my bestie Jamarcus, a couple of good folks we know, Andre Carroll stopped by. I got to really get the chance to hang out with another great political consultant, Ashley Session, who was there. A lot of politicals. Omar Sabir was the city commissioner. No mayoral candidates came. City council candidates, state rep, Jordan Harris, couple of politicians, candidates. I don't want to name any of the candidates that came because, you're not getting any free promo on this show. But there was a lot of good elected incumbents. What else? One guy. There were judicial candidates to that. Wade Albert was there, who was a judicial candidate. But there was, there was a bunch of city council at large candidates that came. Some that were annoying, some that were chill. But they all were there. It was a lively event. It was a day party. Lots of music, lots of fun, lots of drinks, lots of food, lots of good vibes. So that was a pleasant experience, for sure. And they gave me my booth and everything. And if you go on my IG, if you go through and see the pics, it was a good time. It was very fun and very thoughtful way to get voters out and engaged and kind of get people warmed up for what's going to come up this upcoming Tuesday election. So it was a great little pre-show. And we're all counting down the days. We're less than 24 hours away from election day. So I look forward to showing up and voting in person. Mr. Johnson voted by mail. I voted in person. I'm old school. I need to push the button, but it's going to be a big, 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 big Super Tuesday. Now, my predictions, okay? Really my prediction. These are my predictions. This is my no guts, no glory predictions on who's going to be Philadelphia's next mayor and who's going to be Philadelphia's next city council at large. I don't got time. I may talk about some other races, but I don't got time. So before I get into mayor, let me just say this. I think in certain contested districts, I think Ketsy's going to get reelected. I think Cindy Bass is going to get reelected in that race, that heated race between her and Seth over there in Germantown. I think that Cindy Bass is going to win. This is not about who I like, who I endorse, who I favor, whatever. I'm just stating the facts. I don't think Seth has done a strong job to make his case. This is Seth Anderson Obelman, who is running for city council in the district seat against longtime incumbent Cindy Bass. I think he has great passion. I just don't think his message is going to resonate with voters to elect him because I don't think they believe he's ready on day one. So I don't know about him. I think Ketsy's going to win because a lot of people have been falling back. She's going against someone who was a former staffer for Helen Gim, but apparently, from what I heard from deep sources, those staffers don't really bang with this guy anymore, allegedly. But his name is Andres, and he is running against Ketsy, who replaced recently Maria Quinones Sanchez for that seat in her councilmanic district. So I think Ketsy is going to get reelected. I don't see any shakeups in this district seats. I think everybody thinks that the Seth versus Cindy Bass race will be what happened with Jamie Gauthier and Janie Blackwell, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the incumbents are all going to stay in place on that front. Now, for city council at large, this is a very heated race. I think the 5 people that are going to win, in no particular order: Catherine Gilmer Richardson, Isaiah Thomas, RIP to Isaiah Thomas's mother who passed away. My deepest condolences. He just had a funeral for her over the weekend, right before Mother's Day, which is very sad. Our thoughts and prayers go out to Isaiah Thomas's mother and his family, and him, of course. So I believe Catherine Gilmer Richardson, Isaiah Thomas, Jimmy Harity, who are 3 incumbents currently, I think they're going to get reelected. The 2 other candidates who I think are going to get reelected: Rue Landau, who was also endorsed by the Democratic Party alongside the 3 incumbents. And I think that 5th slot is going to Aaron Santamore. I think it's going to happen. All 5 of them, I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see 2 white women for the first, 2 white women elected to city council at large. We haven't seen that many white women get elected at large in years since Anna Vernon. So that's a big deal, the former council president. We haven't seen an openly gay candidate, LGBTQIA candidate in the history of Philadelphia politics. Rue Landau will be the first. I'm calling now. Rue Landau's getting elected. Jimmy Harity is getting there by Northeast, the establishment, the party, the gays, and everybody in between. And Catherine Isaiah, everyone loved him. Who would have thought that at this time in the game that 2 black candidates, a black man and a black woman that are millennials, will be surefire wins? And this is a big deal because this is will be Isaiah's 4th time running for office. He won his 3rd time, and this time he might be the highest vote getter. But then again, there's Catherine Gilmer Richardson, who this is her 2nd time running, and she won both times, right? Oh, well, she's going to win this time, so it'll be both. But right now, she's currently an incumbent. She, too, could be the highest vote getter. I don't know who's going to get it between them 2. If I was betting, I think it's going to be Catherine. But it could be Isaiah. You never know. Or it could be someone else. Who knows? But it's interesting. This is a very interesting race. People said, well, why are you saying Jimmy Harity? Because city council at large has never not had a white man. They've always had 1 white man, sometimes 2. You got Dom, you got Bill Greenlee, you had Kenny. You're always going to have a white man in that large. And Jimmy Harity represents the blue-collar white man. So I just feel like he's a safe bet. I think people are just going to vote for Jimmy Harity because he's a white man. Aaron Santamore, I just think that she is running a race where everyone's like, it's her time. She's got a lot of money in the race. She's got major endorsements. She just has a great ground game. I think she could pull it out this time. And she was close last time. And without all the major competition like Helen Gim or Alan Dom in the race, I think it opens it up for her to be that alternative. She did not get endorsed by the party, but she got recommended by the party. So everybody who I have for these 5 slots have either been endorsed by the party or is one of the people they recommended. They only recommended 3 candidates for that 5th slot. They only endorsed 4 candidates, but the 5th one was open to 3 slots. It was Nina Mott, not voting for her at all. It was the other one was Nina. It was Nina Mott It was Aaron Santamore, and the other one was Erica Almiron. Erica Almiron is who I'm going to vote for instead of Jimmy Harity. My slate will be Catherine Isaiah, Aaron Santamore, Rulandall, and Erica Almiron. But predictions wise, I don't think Erica's going to win. I could be wrong. Something can change, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Yeah, and I think that it's going to be very telling. But there's a lot of things going on right now. Alan Dom is having one last rally with Alan Dom, which is going to be on Friday from 5 to 7 at Union Trust. He's telling people to RSVP. He didn't already have an event recently. I'm just like, wow, he is really going ham. Another big old party to get out the vote. I mean, I went to his last party. That party was lit. He having another one tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, because that's election day. It's later. It's gonna be on Monday night. Monday night before the election. So he's out here pulling out all the fast stops to try to get them votes. Okay, he ain't playing no games. So people want to bang with him and see what is given. He gonna do what he gonna do. But now that's what I think. That's what I think is gonna win. I don't know if Tracy Gordon is going to win re-election. I don't know if she's going to win. I don't know if Tracy Gordon is going to win. I think it's getting really ugly and serious for her. I'm voting for Ray Hall personally, but I don't know. I think the guy that they're endorsing will. City Controller, I think that Christy Brady's going to win because the party is going hard for her. The controller's race has not been observed by a lot of people. In the perfect world, Alexandra Hunt should be the person for city controller based on just her name, her energy and passion for the role. She's been really going after Rochelle Bilal aggressively. But at the end of the day, I think Christy Brady's going to get the incumbent. I think she's going to get the incumbent slot. Not incumbent slot. She's not the incumbent, but she's been, she was the interim for 5 seconds, and then she got out to run, and she was able to do her thing. So I think she's going to win. The other race, sheriff race, I think Rochelle Bilal is still going to win. I think people just play off identity politics for her. I think she's going to pull it out, and even though, in spite of all of the drama and controversy, I still think people are going to vote for her. I'm not voting for her. But I don't know if she's gonna lose. I don't know. I think if I'm a betting man, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough. Now, Michael Altsmeyer has spent money on ads and really put some money in this race, but I don't know. But it would be a big damn deal if she loses. But if I was a betting man, I think she's gonna slither in there. Now mayor. I'm gonna keep it cute and short and to the point. This race, the person who wins this race will be a woman. It will be a woman. A woman's winning. Sorry, Dom, it's not happening. Jeff Brown, no shot in hell. Amin Brown, who, what? And I'm not saying who, what to him because he's won races and I'm never going to shade that man like that. But I just think in this particular race, this is a very big race. A lot of money has been spent. A lot of things has happened in the last 48 hours. And given the information I've received and things I've seen, even in people's own wards, it is really hard to believe that certain people are going to win these races. Certain people will. There will not be a man. A man will not win this race. This is boiling down to 3 women. Those 3 women, because they're not the only women running, but these 3 women are Helen Gim, Rebecca Reinhart, and Cheryl Parker. A black woman, a white woman, an Asian woman. This is historic. And I think regardless of everything else that's going to come out of this race, it's a wonderful thing to see and know that the front runners in this race are women. And they come from various different backgrounds, lived experiences, and all that jazz. All 3 of them could win on Tuesday. And I have theories on what will be the pipeline. And I will tell you what I think is the predictable pipeline, but I could be wrong because I'm not perfect. None of us are. But here's my thoughts. So I think that the sad news is, before I get to this, is that any of these people that win will probably have the lowest voting percentage to confirm such primary victories. You could blame this because so many men who lack viability still chose to rain on this parade. And you could blame it on the fact that Philadelphia don't do runoffs. We don't. Even more sad is that I don't think voter turnout is going to be much higher in spite of the suspense. I mean, are we going to see, we might see a small boost or just flatness. I don't think there's going to be high voter turnout. because there's too many options, and I think some voters are just over it to the point where they're like, fuck it all, right? I also think the worst thing that can happen is that whoever wins or loses, the damage done this cycle isn't going away. I want to be very transparent about that. I don't like some people, and I'm not going to like them for a long time based off of what the fuck happened during this election cycle, and I think that's kind of sad. There are a lot of candidates trying to run their races like Obama when they really should probably run their races like, John Street. I believe that politics are local as fuck, and I think that sometimes people forget that. There's a lot of other tactics that people are doing, and I'm just realizing a lot of these candidates a lot of these voters hate the candidates overall. They don't know who they are. But I say all this to say that before I get into my predictions, I want to say that the optimistic news is that whoever wins or loses on Tuesday, one thing is for certain. Journalists like me are going to keep the public informed regardless. I wish I could say irregardless. I think they're trying to make that a word now in the dictionary. But irregardless of the situation, I'll be here. I'll be covering these races. I'll be covering these candidates. I'll be holding their feet to the fire. Look, I was pissed off in 2019 when Kenny got reelected. But you know what I did? I kept my head up and said, I got to go back to work and I got to go back to informing the public. And that's exactly what I'm going to do regardless of who the fuck wins. Okay? Promise you that. Capiche? So that's a big damn deal. And a lot of people are not, keeping it 100 about all of this stuff that's happening. Just not, right? So, so let's get into it. So I'm going to rank this based on these optics. Sherelle Parker. I don't think Sherelle's going to win. I think out of the two out of the three candidates, I think that she is going to have the issue. And, I think that is a problem that we're starting to see. And I think that is starting to say something about everything that is happening. Everything that's happening. I think that there is a lot of issues that are going on, and I want to talk about this. What's happening, by the way, in some theories. But I think Sherelle, for starters, is having the hardest time right now. I think Sherelle, she's going to have the hardest mountain to climb on whether she wins. I think there's a lot of factors that's hurting her. One, I think that there's men in the race that are taking votes away from her. Amin Brown, Warren Bloom, and James DeLeon, while as individually they are not going to come in. There's arguments they will come in less than 1 point a piece or whatever. But when you're in a close race, if you put all of those votes together, a lot of people would say that those people who would vote for them would vote for Sherelle. That's what they're saying. And as by them being in a race, it's almost like they're a Ralph Nader type of voter. That the percentage margin is too low, that collectively they're taking away votes and cut off the votes that she needs. But a big threat to her, I would argue, is going to be someone like Jeff Brown. Jeff Brown's not winning at all, but Jeff Brown's going to have a nice percentage chunk, and that might be enough to take her to the top. If Jeff Brown wasn't in this race, I strongly believe Sherelle would be a front runner right now. I'm not going to hold you. The conversation would be very different if Jeff Brown was in the race. How do I know? Because a lot of the labor union support that's supporting Jeff Brown, they are literally only supporting Jeff Brown because of the fact that Helen got the teachers' unions, but the other unions and labor groups, right, they're supporting her. She's missing some crucial ones because they're supporting Jeff Brown. But if she had them alongside of her, along with the rest of the unions, she would be a force to be reckoned with. I think that there will be a nice support. The Black voters are still conflicted on her. You got progressive Black voters who are not voting for her. They're just not going to do it. I'm one of those people. You have Black union labor voters who are loyal to Jeff Brown. Some of them are looking at Al-Anon a little bit, right? So she's losing some core. If the Black vote is going to take her there, now people say there's some white votes that's going to go for her. I can see some from the Northeast, but I don't think there's going to be center city white voters. I don't see white voters in South Philly. I don't see white voters in Chestnut Hill. I don't think a lot of white voters in the Northwest is even going to vote for her. I think she got some in the Northeast, but that's not going to be enough to carry her. So I don't see the pathway of victory. The only way I see a pathway of victory is if the establishment play establishment games. If you start seeing some shakedowns, which I've been hearing about reportedly in some of these wards, if you start to see people getting their names cut off of ballots, if you start to see some last minute maneuvering of sorts around these committee people and things, you just might see an edge where there could be that level. Voter turnout is crucial, right? But I don't think the type of voters that would be supporting Sherelle are going to be running to those polls. I just don't see the engagement. She needs a lot of black voter turnout. There would need to be an increase in black voter turnout to give her a fair shot. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it. I don't see it. You know, there is an argument, though, right? And this is a theory that perhaps the Rebecca and the Helen camps, their voters are so similar that they might cancel each other out, and that pushes Sherelle to the front. That's a theory, but the polls are not saying that. The polls are not showing that. And so I think that I don't see the pathway of victory. I don't see it. Again, I could be wrong, but that's a rare occasion. Now, Helen Gim. I think Helen has a chance of winning. I think that the upset of Tuesday night could be a Helen Gim win. It could be a shocker to some, maybe not a shocker, depending on how you view her history, right? She has won big time. She's won big races. But a mayoral race is different from a city council large race. And Philadelphia, its voters and the world saw Helen Gim and saw politics very differently 4 years ago than how they see it now. So I don't know if that history is enough for her to feel comfortable. It is going to be a fight. And it's obvious that she's fighting a real fight. I have a theory, but I'm going to put the theory out at the end of when I'm done talking about all the candidates and where they go. But I think Helen is hoping, and strategically, is that the progressive base of voters, which is a lot of them, right, that in a tight race, she rallies up her base, and that base show up. They have to show the fuck up. If her base does not show up, she's losing. Because no other group's base can be movable. Everybody else can move voters. No one can move Helen Gim's. No one's moving to Helen Gim. I don't see a conversion of Jeff Brown supporters going for Helen Gim. I can see Jeff Brown people going for Dom. I can see Jeff Brown people going for Sherelle. I don't see them going for her. I can see Alan Dom voters going for Rebecca. I can see, Amin Brown supporters going for Sherelle potentially. I can see that, but I can see Helen Gim people going to Rebecca, but I don't know. No, they're diehard Gim fans. I don't think they're going anywhere. They're giving Bernie or bust bros. The energy is giving Bernie or bust. And so that type of energy is hard because you're like, who is it going to? Is it going to Bernie Sanders? Who's it going to? I give Bernie or bust bros from that crowd. Which means that it's getting a little scary. So Helen just has to hope that everyone else's team don't show up to the polls as much as her group. And her group has to show high and heavy to push her to the top. So she's hoping, she's benefiting from this crowded race. The less crowded this race gets, the harder it becomes for her. And I don't know if other teams are looking at her and going, do we want Helen or not? We'll see. But she does have a chance. And if she wins because everybody else's teams didn't show up the way they're supposed to. Her base is getting fired up. She's doing everything, man. She's pulled out all the stops. That's her. So then you have Rebecca Reinhardt. And I think the reason why I feel like she has the closest chance is that I have seen and observed that there is people who are really on the anyone but Helen Gim camp. And I think that's a strong group of people. I think a lot of people do not like Helen Gim. And I think Helen Gim will benefit in a mayoral race where there is a small percentage needed to win. Someone like her that is as polarizing as her only needs to consider the interests of her core base in order to win in a crowded race like this. And if she wins, it will be the fault of several of the men who stayed in this race. Because honestly, it's selfish. Honestly, at this point, they don't really have a strong shot. Everyone keeps saying it can go 5 ways. I don't see it going 5 ways. I think it's going 3 ways. I think it's going to be between 3 women. But at the end of the day, I just sense that the way that voters might act on Tuesday is that those people who are really not in support of Helen are going to say, who is the candidate that can beat Helen? And I think looking at the polls, looking at the way that people have been having these conversations, I think they truly are going to go to the polls and they're going to believe that Rebecca is that best option. Because that's how the race has been shaping up, has been between Rebecca and Helen. That's where it's been for a little bit now. And I think that's the conversation. It will be one of those two, I truly believe. And so if it's between Rebecca and Helen, I believe that it's going to be a process of elimination. I think that people are going to sit back and say, okay, well, Rebecca is the choice because one, she's not as polarizing. She, seems to be a consensus building person. She has not ran a nasty campaign. She has not really attacked any of the candidates running. She gets along with everyone publicly. I mean, people have thrown shots at her, but she has kept herself clean. Her team is diverse. She has some really great folks working on her campaign. She has really ran, to me, the real grassroots campaign. And why I say that is because her canvassers, her volunteers, the people that knock the doors that's on the ground are all unpaid. Okay. No other campaign that is really a big major candidate running can say that. Okay. Everyone's got to throw money at the situation, but she is not paid for these canvassers. These people are going out, passionately knocking on doors. They want her to win. Helen can't say the same thing. People are getting bused from New York to support her. People are getting paid through different coalitions and camps to use their people and foot soldiers. It's a big money operation over there for Helen Gim's campaign. I mean, she's doing all types of things to try to get this vote. But Rebecca has not done that. She has been really, I think, the dark horse in the race that is going to surprise people. And she has surprised people because I don't think people realize just how popular and close she was to winning. And that says something about politics. And I think out of all of the candidates, she has just been the least one that's been trashed. I think that's because she really has not, I mean, they've tried to throw mud at her, but it hasn't stuck the same way it stuck for other people. And a lot of that is because of the gaffes certain candidates have made. There's a lot of things happening, right? They made gaffes and fucked up and did things they had no business doing. And now they're, surprised that some of this stuff has come back to bite them. But for Rebecca, it hasn't been that level with her. There hasn't been a bunch of scandals. There's conversations about, her leadership style, her approach, but there hasn't really been the big bomb dropping, oh my God, article or story, So I think that makes her a safer option for some people that may say, look, I don't want to go far right. I don't want to go far left. I don't want to go to any extreme. And I think that Helen Gim supporters have really become Bernie bros in the sense of how they go and defend her. Look, defend your candidate, but at the same time, the name calling, the attacks on people's blackness and the attacks on people's commitment to their communities. You're talking about some folks that's been out here doing this fucking work. I've been disrespected aggressively by Helen Gim supporters in ways where I'm like, do you even know who the fuck you're talking to? Like, are you delusional? And the annoying thing about it is that they really think that supporting Helen Gim makes them this activist. It's so fucking corny. Like, these people are activists in communities, black and brown communities, trashing black and brown leaders and community folks that don't share the same political opinions as them. Okay, they may not exactly have the same politics as a candidate, but for you to feel like you can talk over them and you can sit up and you can, disrespect them, like some of the insults that's been made towards me and others, it's just not cool. And like, what's crazy is they got Twitter fingers, but they don't have that shit to say in real life. They see people in real life and they don't ever say that shit to them in person. See, me, if I don't like a candidate or I feel some type of way, look, if I'm in a civil space, I can say hello, keep it cool, whatever. But I'm also not somebody that's going to show up to people's events because I'm talking about a certain person, Salim, okay? Keeping it 100, Salim, right? This dude saw me in person, had all this stuff to say on Twitter, don't even know me, never met me, but on Twitter, clapping on the Twitter, right? Dude come to my mayoral candidates forum that I host, eat the food that I help raise money for, an organization that I lead that supports black journalists. He shows up to that event. Oh, very seldom on the words, very much on the, people got different agreements, but we're here, and I shakes his hand like a grown ass man, right? Dude gets on social a couple days later, where we're talking about some, there's all these different journalists and people that's the status quo, celebrity journalist, Ernest, Philly Mag celebrity journalist. Don't you ever play with me like that, celebrity journalist. I'm a Philly Mag celebrity journalist. I'm the status quo. See, people like to play. Don't play. Don't play with my name. Don't play with my work. Don't play with what I do. And there's too many people like him that just go off on these diatribes. You like who you like who you like. Why liking what I like? Like at what point does liking what you like need to come at you insulting somebody else? Now, it's one thing if you want to do analysis, but like if you are a diehard Helen Gim stand for her without disrespecting other Black people who are choosing to vote a different way. I'm not going to waste my time talking shit about people that support Sherelle Parker. Because you know why? Because some of those people are my friends. And some of those people are people I connect with, people that I network with, people that I know. Black women that I've worked with for years. Look, we got a difference of opinion. It's kind of sad. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to trash them. I'm not going to disrespect them. I'm not going to do all of this like it's a damn Donald Trump vote. Because to be honest, we got to stop the conflation. Everybody's not Donald Trump. Okay? And if you get to the point where every single time you dog whistle and you scapegoat somebody, then you get to the point where you're not believed, you're not credible. If everybody is Donald Trump, if everybody is the worst thing ever, if everybody is the end of the universe, then we will never have an end of the universe because we're already technically there. The hyperboles is bullshit because people like Helen Gim. Okay, let's keep it all the way 100. People like Helen Gim and many of the other people that are around here talking all this doomsday shit, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to be fine regardless. They're going to have a job. They're going to have money. They're going to live their best lives. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. And they will continue to find ways to profit and hustle off of the backs of everyday working people. We got to stop this. We got to stop. And part of the issue is, and this is fucking Philadelphia's political system. You know what? As somebody who grew up in Houston, who grew up in Texas, I know what real conservatives look like. I know what real moderates look like. I know what real progressives look like. And I know that in my city, you want to talk about, races. These are major liberal cities. None of these people are acting like the extreme radical Republicans that you think you know, okay? This ain't New York where they flip-flop in positions and seats and try to be one thing they're not. We're talking about people who are in positions of power, okay? Actual people that are in positions of power that you have to wonder, that there could be a chance that a Republican take over an actual citywide seat. We don't have that in Philly. So because everybody's a Democrat in Philly, we're, throughout the electoral system, we literally have our elections in primaries, right? But because everybody's going to win, a Democrat's going to win regardless, now Democrats are getting a chance, a luxury to cherry pick which type of Democrat. That's a luxury a lot of cities don't have. There's a lot of areas across this country that don't have the luxury. But what's funny is if you take any of these Democrats and put them in other cities across the country against Republicans, people would choose them any goddamn day over those Republicans. And so there's almost like a spoiledness that Philly has with Democrats. There's so many of them that you don't even understand how fortunate you should be to have some of them. No, let me be clear. There are some trash-ass Democrats, right? But there are also some pretty fairly decent ones that if they were in another city, you would be having a different conversation. You know how I know? Because Kamala, right? Kamala Harris, who so many people love nationally, if Kamala Harris ran for office in Philadelphia, y'all would trash her. And I'm not throwing shade because I would not have voted for Kamala Harris if she was in Philadelphia myself, but you all would not vote for her. And you know what? Rightfully so. But it's funny because people don't seem to understand that the styles of the different Democrats, that if they were in different cities, they would be more palpable and electable. Like I could see a Cindy Bass in Atlanta and she would win. A Sherelle Parker in Atlanta could win easily. We just got too many damn Democrats. And to be honest, it's gotten to the point where there are some people who are on the far ends of their, whatever they think is their political ideology, whether it's embedded in some level of democratic socialism or just flat out far leftness. these individuals really think that they are now the true Democrats and everybody else are like moderate conservatives. That ain't it, and it's not true. And honestly, this fight between what is liberals and progressives has gotten to the point where voters themselves are just turned off from it, don't give a fuck. They're like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Let me just let the ruling class debate who is going to run for these seats because I'm over all these candidates because they can't figure it out. So I say all this to say that while these ideological wars are happening, a person like Rebecca appeals to people that want to find that safe spot. So if you don't want somebody that's super, super moderate like Sherelle, but you don't want somebody that's like extremely, extremely far left like Helen, Rebecca Reinhardt is a pragmatic alternative. She is what I call a pragmatic progressive. She's a progressive that wants to advance the cause and the movement, but at the same time, she is very mindful about the realities of the current system, and she's not going to make promises that she can't keep, and she's going to work within the lines to ensure the maximum availability and accessibility of whatever policy and initiative she takes on. There's a lot of people proposing a lot of reckless ideas that sound good on paper, but the money, the willpower, and the ability to collaborate is just not fucking there. Keep it a buck. I don't see Helen Gim working across the table with various types of Democrats to get shit done. They don't like her. They're not going to want to work with her. And she don't like them either. And she has made it obviously harder to work with because she backstabs even her own. Why hasn't Chris Rabb come out and outwardly and publicly endorsed her? He might have recently showed up, maybe. Maybe they pulled it, but sources close to me have said that there's been people like Kendra Brooks and others in the Working Families Party that have for a while have been trying to bring Chris to support her. I know for a fact that Chris Rabb is not enthusiastic about supporting Helen Gim because of the fact that she threw him under the bus and tried to call him out. Okay, she had to call him out last year when Dr. Oz was in his area and he came to a sit-down conversation with Dr. Oz in his community with black voters. He was doing the work to engage the other side. She publicly shamed him for that and he got a lot of heat. And that's somebody who was a supporter of her. Why would you do that to a black progressive when you know that the circumstances of black progressives are very different from others? Why are you fucking with this man on social media? Your very own. It's that type of disloyalty that does have people on caution about her. They're cautious about her. They're not ready to fully support because she's always flip-flopping. I mean, she came at him the same way she came at Amin Brown for meeting with Dr. Oz, and well, actually not even meeting, like bumping into him at the same cafe that she was at. And she took those pictures, allegedly, and she sent them to the press, allegedly. And Politico, and then it circulated. And the next thing you know, they're all over the internet, and it was a whole big old to-do, and it was messy. But she's done these types of tactics. She's been accused of it. I've heard from various journalists that she has, in the past, would tip them off about dirt on other people within her own fucking party. So let's be very clear that it's not just that Democrats don't like Helen Gim because they think that they're the status quo. They don't like Helen Gim because Helen Gim has a history of agitating, aggravating, and annoying other Democrats for shit that she has done herself. And they think she's a hypocrite. And she is not nice, and she's not fair. She's not fair to people that is within her own party. If you don't want to be a Democrat, just say that. But she plays the game, right? Because she wants to be friends when it's convenient for her. She walks in certain rooms with certain people that she has publicly lambasted, and then she pretends as though when they act cold to her, that it's something with them rather than with her. And I could really name some names and put some other things on the table, but you know what? I sworn to confidentiality on those things, but what I will tell you from my own observation is that I know that Chris Rabb is not enthusiastic about her. I know that Chris Rabb has been done wrong by her. And I know that there are progressives, other black progressives throughout the movement that have had stories about how she, specifically black women in progressive spaces, how she has exploited them and used them allegedly to push her own image. and they wasn't properly attributed, included, and whatnot. And this is not in this current campaign, but throughout the years she has ran for office, she has had these types of clashes with people. And finally, the roosters have come, the chickens have come to roost, and people are starting to talk. And it's starting to be harder and harder because I'm starting to notice like there's been some wiggleness with why isn't there certain people who previously supported Helen have not come out as loud. It just seems like they're not as loud for her. It just seems like there's some weird distancing from her. And some of them just feel like, you know what, she's gotten to the point where she's gotten so far left that they're scared that supporting her is going to hurt them when they run for their seats. And that could be true, right? So there is that element with her. But I say all this to say that at the end of the day, the indecisiveness around Helen and progressives and white voters and folks in areas like Center City and the Northwest and other areas, that does turn around and give benefit to Rebecca as that cleaner alternative when it comes to the messiness that has come with some of these other races. She doesn't come with that level of baggage that other people do. There seems to be a nice mix of progressives and longtime moderates and people that can come to a consensus that she's the consensus candidate. And I think that that's going to benefit her very well. In addition to the consistent ads and the name recognition that she has garnered as well, I do think people are going to say, if I got to pick and choose between Helen, I bet you right now, if you ask Philadelphia without any other person in the race, Helen or Rebecca, they went one-on-one together, I believe that Rebecca will beat Helen across the board. I feel like if it was just the two of them and it was just them, I believe that Rebecca would have the most endorsements and Rebecca would win. And I think she still could win. I think there will be enough conversion outside of her own base of supporters that will move her to the finish line. So I predict that it will be a stronger likelihood that Rebecca will win in the end. But I'm not going to sleep on the reality that Helen Gim is her biggest competition, and Helen Gim has also a strong shot. And depending on how the weather and the temperature plays out, it's either going to be Rebecca or Helen. That is my no guts, no glory predictions. That is how I feel like this race is going to play out. I know people are saying other things, but I definitely think that is what I predict. And if I'm wrong, I'll say I'm wrong. I'll say congratulations to Helen Gim if she wins, not personally, unless I see her in person. But honestly, that's where my head is at. And if you're asking me where I'm going on election day, election night, I'm going to Catherine Gilmore Richardson's party with my husband. She's going to win. I'll be there. I'm going to be around winners. Hopefully she gets the highest vote count. Shout out to her if she pulls it off. And if Helen wins, I'm going to the Helen... No, clarity. I'm not going to the Helen Gim party. If Rebecca wins, I'm going to the Rebecca Reinhardt party, which I saw the invitation recently. We'll definitely be going to that. If Helen wins, I ain't going to no Helen Gim party. If Helen wins, Helen wins. And, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. I feel different. I feel momentum going in a different way. I'm starting to hear people begin to recognize that this really is a two-person race. And I'm really starting to sense that people who were supporting Sherelle are starting to realize that if they vote for Sherelle, that's really a vote that is going to Helen. Because their mindset is that if the most potent person in the race is Rebecca against Helen, any vote that's not going to Rebecca is a vote that is basically going to help Helen. So there is that to be said. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays off. But that is what I think the politics are right now. Anything can change, but that's where we're at. You know what I'm saying? That's where we're at. So, yeah. Other things going on, because there's a lot. My notes are long. I have a lot of notes. Goodness gracious. So in other good news, Tory Lanez retrial was denied. His sentencing will be in June. Yes, Tory Lanez tried to get the judge to give him another trial in going up against Megan Thee Stallion prosecutors. They said nah, so he is going to jail most likely. That's that on that. MTV News is gone. Oh my goodness, MTV News that's been around for decades, older than me. MTV News, as we know what it's going. Paramount is cutting and slashing a lot of things. There's, another week, another media loss. I used to freelance for them back a couple years back. We did a couple of things. But the most notable thing I did with MTV News, for people to know, is that they were the media outlet that I worked with in 2019 when I interviewed the legendary Oprah Winfrey. I went under as a writer, reporter for MTV News to cover the red carpet, and they were a major national outlet. And, to go, I had to get an outlet that I represented. And it made sense. MTV News was my big one. I pitched it to a great black gay editor that was there. He was incredible. And I pitched it to him and was like, listen, I'm interested in covering, this. I got an opportunity. I would love to do the piece for the outlet. And they were down with it. They were 100% down. And, that was who I wrote it for. And so that piece was covered. My interview with Oprah for David Makes Man, that interview was in MTV News. And now they're shuttering. They're closing their doors. So that was a lot emotionally. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. So I've been trying to figure out when Love and Hip Hop Atlanta was coming back, or just the Love and Hip Hop brand. So there's some major developments. For starters, over the past week, I've been watching this special MTV called Love and Hip Hop Running Back. And they just basically go back on past episodes, and then all the stars get together from all the different Love and Hip Hop franchise, and they all come together and talk about those moments, which is kind of cute. Well, big news. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and the Love and Hip Hop brand is now moving to MTV. They're no longer going to be on VH1. They're moving to MTV. And let's be clear, the quality, all of that stuff is not going to change, because the thing is that Paramount is owned by Viacom. Viacom owns MTV. It owns BET. It owns VH1. They all are owned by the same company. So all of this is one big old happy family. I think they're trying to raise the interest on MTV and raise the brand on MTV to get more viewers and to give diverse viewers. So rather than put a brand new show, they're just like, fuck it, we're just going to take one of these shows and move it. So now I'm going to be watching MTV now every week, because I love Love and Hip Hop. Love and Hip Hop will return. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta returns on Tuesdays now. The Tuesday takeover. So now VH1 has the Monday takeover. VH1 has the Monday takeover, and now MTV is going to have the Tuesday takeover. So both of them are going to start running different shows now, like Marriage Boot Camp and Counseling apparently is going to be on MTV now, but they're moving some of the shows around to make it all competitive. So now Love and Hip Hop Atlanta will be on Tuesdays, okay, on June 13th is the premiere. So there's that. The Pulitzer Prizes happened last week. They announced the winners of the Pulitzers, which is like the Academy Awards of journalism and all that jazz. Some great winners, not too many black winners. It was really disappointing. There were really no black reporters who was honored for any hard news. So stuff that wasn't arts and cultural based, which is very interesting. Investigative reporting, all these categories were dominated by white journalists. And so that was very sad. But pretty good things that came out. That book, his name was George Floyd, was a big winner. It was a finalist in one category, which is honorable. And it also won the Pulitzer in another category. So that was a pretty big damn deal. The authors of that book, his name is George Floyd. You all heard about that book. It's a really good book about the movement, his life, all of that jazz. It's really, really good. Well, that book is a hot seller now because of the fact that it won the Pulitzer Prize for Best Biography. Other notable wins, not really. I mean, not anything that stood out. I feel like last year when James Imes won for Fat Ham, that was a big moment. Salamisha Tillett won for commentary last year for her column for New York Times, I think it was, or the year before, one of them. But it was just more diverse. It just seemed to be more excitement. I don't know. This year just kind of felt like it came and went. A lot of the categories that won for was related to abortion access issues. There was a lot of stuff about the school shootings in Uvalde. But it was just kind of, just kind of came and went. It didn't feel like it stuck as much. Other news as far as movies go, I mean, movies are just dry right now to Little Mermaid. So, the Little Mermaid premiere happened. A lot of people watched it, saw the premiere in LA. Oh my goodness. Halle Bailey was gorgeous. Halle Bailey was gorgeous. She was just lovely. Her boyfriend, whatever the hell his name, DGGG or whatever the fuck his name is, I don't know why she's with this bozo. It seems like every time she's having a moment, he just fucks it up. Like he doesn't know how to be supportive and just love on her and understand this is her moment, how she feels, because he's just too, I don't know. I don't like it. I think he's a jerk. He said something on Twitter along the lines, this is the first Little Mermaid he's seen, and it just distracted people from the conversation about her. It's like, can you just be like, I'm proud of you, baby, I love you, do your thing? Why does it have to be all these random ass other jabs and random stuff? I just think he's mad corny, and it's just like childish. Yikes. So other things in music specifically, Beyonce's on tour. The tour kicked off in Europe. July 12th, she comes back to the States in Philly, where I'm going to be proud to see her. I'm not really watching the clips. I really don't want to watch the clips. I'm not complaining that people are showing clips. I get it. She's the biggest artist on the planet. So I get why she's, doing why people are sharing. I get it. But I'm just not going to look at it. I'm just going to see it and go. But I'm not going to spend mindless hours on social media analyzing the videos. And I think I personally feel like if you're going to the show, just watch the show when the show come out. And to the people that videotape the clips and things, I don't know. Y'all know Beyonce for the most part. Well, I know Formation World Tour didn't come out, so let me be quiet. Mrs. Carter, I'm right. Let me be quiet. But what I will say is that the tour is meant to be watched and experienced. I am not about to have my cell phone out when I watch the show. I'm going to probably maybe do a little video of the opening. Maybe I'm going to do maybe the end if there's fireworks. I might take a picture, but I'm not going to spend the whole fucking night on my phone. What the fuck is the point? Put your fucking phones away, y'all. Enjoy your concert. Live in the moment. Seriously. I don't get it. Like, you're just there to film for other people. Who gives a fuck that, listen, other people didn't buy the tickets. You did. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. I'm going to tell you why I say enjoy the show. Because on Friday night, I got to see Taylor Swift. I did not take pictures. I didn't videotape. I had a call. I took the call. I went. I snuck in. Not snuck in. I was able to go in. But I didn't make a thing about it. I didn't put it out there. I just got in there. And I was not in the best seats. But to be in the room, see the crowd, the energy. Let me tell y'all something. It was so many white people. I mean, I know there's white people in Philly, but these people wasn't from Philly. These people came all over the Commonwealth. Shit, probably Jersey too. But it was packed like a Coliseum, like a Greek Coliseum. The show was great. I didn't pay for e-tickets, to be clear. Like I got a little hookup. But I'm grateful. And it was a great experience just to be there to see the songs. I couldn't get any merchandise. Most of the shirts were women's sizes. Like most of the stuff was sold out. There was like a pre-tailgate, all this stuff. I didn't participate in that. I just went to go see the show. I wanted to be up at the top. I got to see it. And whether it was in the nosebleeds or the lower tier, it was an experience. And it was great. It was a great show. It was a phenomenal show. She's just, yeah. Great show. I have no complaints. And I think it was just fun to be in the crowd and just feel that energy, like being amongst a bunch of people. It was a bunch of Swifties. They were loud. They were, but it was cute. It was like cute in this, like, wow, like look at this person. Like I could only imagine being on the stage. You got that many people. I was thousands of people. 65, I think they said 69,000 people was in the crowd. And she did that 3 nights in a row. So if you do the math, that's like close to 200,000 people. 69,000 of her fans was at a show. She performed 3 nights in Philadelphia. That is about around 270,000 people in 3 nights. And you know those tickets weren't cheap. That shit's wild. That shit is wild. That's crazy. I don't even want to do the math on how much money that shit made. But like, that's how you pack. That's how you do a show. I'm not comparing crowds. Beyonce's concert will be in the same arena and situation in Philly on July 12th. Um, we'll see. But I don't think we should even compare numbers, because I tell people, because people have been comparing numbers, and I think people will say things like that. And I'll say to them, when you have nearly 25 years in the game, let's see if you can have even that kind of conversation 25 years later. Janet's been in the game for over 40 years. The fact that Janet can even do a tour 40 years later, the fact that Madonna can still sell out shows and do tours like that, and them two women have been in the game for over 40 years, okay? Let's not. Beyonce is in a different league and a different conversation. But Taylor Swift is on that Britney Spears high. She's on that Britney Spears at her highest life. Like, she is that girl. She is in the moment. She is the moment, right? So, both women can be great in their own right. So I think, Taylor Swift has been in the game for about 15 plus years. So she's not a newbie either. But, I think sometimes when people make these comparisons, they lose time. But there's nobody that is at Taylor Swift's level that is doing what Taylor Swift is doing. I don't think Bruno Mars can sell tickets like that. Drake, maybe. The Weeknd, depends on the city. But I don't think they can just hit it like that every night. Not like that. I don't think so. I think they can do one night. I think The Weeknd can do about 69,000 for one night. But I don't think they can get 270,000 people back to back in a city. Like, I don't think they can pull that off. I don't see it. I think they can do one night like that. But I don't think they can do all of the nights like that. Where the level she's on right now is just astronomical. So that's my thoughts on that. There's a lot of talk about Janelle Monáe, her new song, her new video. I just feel like, where have y'all been? Where have y'all been? Because I feel like Janelle Monáe has been very gay for a long time. I don't know why everyone is acting like Lipstick Lover is this new thing. She's got a new album called The Age of Pleasure coming out this summer. I'm actually excited about it. It's very sexy. It's very fever. It's orgy. It's giving all of it. It's super sexy, super queer. It's exciting. Her last album came out 5 years ago, Dirty Computer, which was nominated for Album of the Year, which was an incredibly great album. It was the only Grammy nomination it got, and it was for Album of the Year, which was dope. But, she's coming out with this, and so we'll see where it's going. But the fact that she's leading with this single and it's causing all this buzz, that's a good sign. I'm getting Album of the Year nomination energy. In my head, I think SZA's going to win, but they don't like black women at the Grammys. So I don't, for Album of the Year at least. So I don't know if she's going to be able to pull it off. But we'll see. In Album of the Year, we'll see. But who knows? Roots Picnic. It's flopping, y'all. Remember we talked about the Roots Picnic a couple of weeks back, and the fact that their headliner is Dave Chappelle and Talib Kweli, and what other hoteps do they have on there? DJ Academics, Charlemagne the God. Like, there is just a trash trio, and then Miss Lauryn Hill is the other headliner next to Dave Chappelle. Tickets are not selling, it seems like. They're doing a low ticket sale rate competition. They put out a statement last week. Remember I told you about to put out the statement last week? They have contacted, and I have this from sources directly. I ain't gonna name names. It wasn't me, clearly. But they have contacted influencers, black influencers, offering them VIP tickets, like being like, yo, bring your friends. They just want bodies. They're not even asking for posts or social media or promotional stuff for the most part. They just want people to come. They're trying to fill up bodies. They're reaching out to big influencers. And I guess they assume that if the influencers come, they're clearly going to hype up the show. But they're like literally giving out passes to different types of people. They're trying to bring people in. They're trying to get people out there. If I wouldn't have dragged them in the mud and dragged them in the filth, they would have probably threw me tickets. But see, you're asking black influencers, some of which are queer, to go to a show that Dave Chappelle is at. Like, what the fuck? How tone deaf can you be? I don't know. I think that this is going to fail. It's going to flop. I think some people are going to go, but it's clear that the tickets are not selling as fast. And this is less than a month. The show is going to be like the first weekend around the 3rd or the 4th or whatever, or the 2nd or whatever. But it's going to be like the first weekend of June. And it doesn't seem like tickets are selling out fast and there's interest. So I know it gets a little desperate when you start giving away tickets, especially at this point in the game. Normally, festivals might give out a couple of tickets or whatnot, or press passes and give out some stuff maybe the week before to fill in some gaps. But to be this early out giving out tickets, it's clear that the buzz and the attention is not there. That's just my thoughts. But listen, no one wants to see a comedic transphobe. Nobody wants to see people that mock trans women across the board. Nobody wants to see a person harass black women on Twitter and social media because of one little comment and critique. Nobody wants to see misogynoir and misogyny in that kind of way. So I just, bye. As far as TV goes, I've been following the baddies. Bad Boys Texas is my shit. Power's on a break this week. Everybody's talking about that 2 episodes, the final 2 episodes have leaked. I ain't watching them. I'm loyal. Like, I don't need, like the Beyonce concert, I don't need to watch the show. I'm going to just chill. Succession, listen, I do this every week, but the white people are literally eating each other alive. I mean, Tom and Shiv, my God, I just, the relationships between them is just, the dynamic and just even the family dynamics, it's just getting very messy. And I know we're getting close to the end. Let me see. We're literally 2 more episodes away, I believe. It's wrapping up soon. It's coming to an end soon. It feels like it's coming to an end. That this was the last 8th episode. So next week is the 10th, the 9th, and then the 10th is following that. We got 2 more episodes left, y'all. Who would have thought? The election, everything going on with Tom. I mean, the way he's running that newsroom. It's just, I don't want to talk too much, but it's just, it's a lot going on. 2 more episodes left of that. 2 more episodes left of Power. And then we're going to be done with this season, this high season TV. Now, a new show I've been watching is on Bravo. I'm not watching Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Not Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I'm watching that. Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm not watching that. I'm just bored with that. But this show I've been really watching lately is called Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I have thoughts. I've been watching the first 2 episodes. I encourage you all to watch it. It's very fun and festive. You're looking for something that is with drama, but not too much drama where you're just exhausted. This is fun. It's a bunch of black people who are trying to exhibit black excellence. They're going to Martha's Vineyard. They're young, early 30s, late 20s, that kind of thing. They're around my age. They're on this, they're staying in their friends, beach property for the summer. They're there for a couple of days, vacationing, at the vineyard. But what's interesting is they're all different. They're not all rich and accomplished, but they're all they're from Greek life, and there's some deltas and AKAs and alphas and kappas and all that jazz. But the show is interesting because I must say I appreciate the show because it's a different type of show that's not rooted in these narratives. It's a very different type of conversation around different types of black people, which I can appreciate the nuance. There is some interesting pushback. My good friend Preston Mitchum, Esquire, who is an attorney, but also does a lot of great work with civil rights. He's an activist. He's a great voice. He was also interviewed in my book, The Case for Counsel Culture, as you all know. He's on the show, and I was shocked that he's on a reality show, but he's really good. He's really good. He is like the dude that is pushing back on some of the bullshit that is going on with some of these characters, okay? And as a queer black person, I feel like I would be him in that space where I hear some dumb shit and I'm just like, that's not how it works. So it's very interesting how he's being played up. I've only watched, the first 2 episodes just came out, so if you're trying to get into a new show, this is the show I recommend. Again, it's called Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I'm waiting to see what people think, but if you're watching the show along with me, let's talk about it more. Just DVR, but catch up because it's a really funny, interesting show. And I think people should talk about it more. That's my thoughts. And in closing, because this was a long episode, but also a necessary episode because so much is going on, this week is the week of madness. Who's going to come out on top as Philadelphia's 100th mayor? Will I come out victorious and be right? What's going to happen? What new restaurant I'm going to go to? That and everything more on the next episode of Ernestly Speaking, or Dragon Ball Z. I'm joking. But no, I'm serious. I am so, like, I don't know who's going to win mayor, and it's driving me crazy. You would think I was running for office the way that I'm nerve-wracked. But I'm excited, y'all. This is like the Super Bowl. This is like, giving you season finale energy. Even though our season finale is not until like later in the summer. But anywho, it's getting real, y'all. It's getting real. But you know what? I want y'all to vote, be well, and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.